Are we ready yet?
No. Can you just not be yourself for 5 minutes? 5 minutes. Are we ready yet?
Yeah, we are.
What is up, you guys? Welcome back to another episode. Happy Halloween! What did you guys dress up as? What did you dress up your kid? What did you dress up your husband? Like, I want to know because as you guys can see, I'm Gonke.
I'm Fiona.
Y yo soy Shrek, the handsome one. Don't get it mixed
No
up.
te confundas.
He's rejecting me right now. You know,
No,
he's not
honestly,
feeling the
there's
aura.
like a reason why. I wish I could have done the whole fantasy,
It's
pero no se
okay,
pudo.
though. You still look
It's okay,
good.
yeah.
You still
Yeah,
look
I feel like
good.
a lot of people always tell you that you look like handsome Shrek. So like,
It's a perfect
if
fit.
I honestly did think about it like that, you guys, because I didn't want to do like makeup. I literally only have makeup, but I didn't want to do like a full face porque tengo una situación ahorita, which later ahorita les cuento un poquito más. So when we were thinking about like our costumes, I was like, you know what, chinga su madre, if I don't get to do the full face paint, I feel like I could still pass for like handsome Shrek.
Yeah.
Porque sí,
100%.
eso sí siempre me dicen que me miro como el handsome version of Shrek. I don't know if I should be offended or not.
No.
Because like handsome version, he's also like an ogre.
yeah, but so does Fiona. Like, Fiona's a baddie and then she turns into...
An
True,
orc.
true,
So I
true, true.
mean, I'm still a baddie
What did I
inside
just say?
out, bitch.
Yeah,
I'm still
like
a baddie.
the baddie is still inside, just not
Exactly.
outside.
Not outside, not with the BBL or anything. Unless I turned into the Bichona version, then it will say
Hey,
less.
that would have been funny though. I was telling
Low-key.
Irma that she should have been like a buchona version of Fiona for Halloween, pero no se pudo. El año que viene, amigas.
Yeah, and honestly, I found my costume like literally one day, and that's the only donkey costume that I had ever seen. So I was like, you know what, fuck it. Like, that just made our trio thing complete because, like, I don't think I could have been anyone else on there because, like,
Lord
it's Spirit-
Farquaad.
I feel like you would have been a perfect Lord Farquaad.
Yeah.
But I couldn't find the costume like at Spirit
Yeah.
Halloween.
Right now, with this year, there's so many iconic like costumes that have been coming out that everybody has been wanting to do. Shrek has been one
Yes.
of them. Terrifier has been another. Scream, Joker. Those have been the
Joker, yeah.
main fours that I have seen mainly that everybody has been dressing
I'm
up for the
actually
year.
pretty disappointed at people this year because I feel like I haven't seen too many like Tiffany's or Chucky's.
I
But also
haven't.
Tiffany and Chucky have been so played out throughout the years que como que ya
was
todo
last-
bueno descansen, mi amor.
But that was last year.
Yeah.
Though. Last year was definitely the year of Chucky and Tiffany.
Yeah.
So it's time for a little change. Shrek
But I mean,
is the theme.
for us, every year is Chucky. So I mean, I
Every
like
day.
Chucky. Yeah,
Every
every day.
day.
Every day for us is Chucky. But if you guys didn't notice, well, notice it now. We have our second guest of season 3, my boyfriend,
My BFF.
Alannized.
Amigas, this is when was the last time I was here? I think like a
It
couple
was
months
Last
ago.
season.
Last season.
'Cause this is our
in-
very-
But maybe not this year, huh?
Christmas.
No.
It was like last year.
Yeah, it was last year.
And I'm so excited to be back on Halloween Day porque it's a Thursday this year, you guys. So just in case ustedes no van a celebrar o no van a salir, no van a hacer nada, pues agárrense sus cafecitos, sus hachiros, sus conchas, lo que quieran y siéntense y disfruten este día de Halloween con nosotros. I'm
Yes,
so
you guys are
excited for
definitely
that.
going to be enjoying this one. I feel like this is a trio that you guys have been asking for a long time now. Even though, of course, we had him on the previous episode, even for this season, you guys were in the comments below. Where's Alan? You guys should have him on the podcast, and here he is.
I'm
So,
like, I've never seen a comment like that.
No, they do
I know.
actually ask you for, yeah.
You guys sigan comentando para que termine siendo un regular.
But for reals though, the only reason why Alannized actually came on the podcast is because it is Halloween. The witches come out on Halloween.
You know what's funny? When we started talking about like coming back on the podcast, I literally told him, I was like, you know what would be funny? I think having an episode with me on Halloween Day would be iconic.
So no se enojen, because I know that a lot of people have been saying like, oh, you guys need like an actual day like to upload. We do have an actual day, which is on Monday at 10 a.m. But sometimes we get a little too busy and we would like to just upload every single week. That's still consistent for us. But of course, if you guys don't know, well, now you know that our podcast is every every Monday at 10 a.m. Now, this one is an exception because it is for Halloween.
Special.
Yeah, Halloween special.
Also, I want to address the big elephant in the room, amigas. Hace unos días, amigas, literal me salió un pinche grano sin pagar renta on literally the border of my lip. It's one of those pimples that are super painful. Have you guys ever gotten like a pimple on your fucking culo that like kind of hurts to even sit down?
I don't get pimples on my culo, but I'm just kidding. I believe it though, because when I get even just like the smallest one on my lip, I feel like that's the most painful ones that you can get.
I feel like it's been making me super self-conscious to you guys. So I got it maybe like a week ago, right?
Yeah, it's already been a week.
Me, I hate fucking acne in general. I know this is gonna sound very like first world problem, pero literal, amigas, yo soy una persona que granos así nunca agarro like on my face. So literally me sale este pinche grano the size of a fucking volcano, and I'm like, no mames, ¿qué está pasando? So I try to fucking pop it. But the thing with this grano, you guys, it had like, it was ready to pop, but it was like one of those pimples that were hard to pop. You literally had to go in there with like fuerza.
I know.
But anytime I would try to use fuerza to pop it, that shit would hurt more y se hacía hasta más grande because I would kind of like bug it too much that I literally got a needle the other day. Like I burned it and I disinfected it and I popped it and it fucking relieved it so good. Pero no van a creer, I fucking left myself a fucking open wound. So that same day we had like a little fiesta for something we're going to talk about right now. Y yo pienso que con la comida y la grasa y todo eso, you guys, se me volvió a infectar. And I woke up at like 6 in the morning in pain because it was fucking full and ready to get popped again. So ahorita, amigas, I've been putting a pimple patch on it, but
he was for real though, like he was just being so necio about not touching it because I know for a fact, I mean, I'm not like him where I don't get pimples. I actually do get pimples on my face. So like I know what acne is about. Like you just kind of have to pop it once and just leave it alone because then it'll go away.
I kept poking it.
He kept poking it. And he Alannized is a Google type of person. Like he don't want to go to the doctor. He says WebMD is his doctor, girl. And he'll look up until he gets a symptom.
Bitch,
so
I
every
was
single
looking up,
day,
do I have herpes?
every single day I would literally hear like a new diagnosis that he'll give himself. And I was like, you know what? Like just put some Neosporin on it and then just clear it out. Like just don't touch it. And he's been doing that lately, so it's been a little bit cleaner.
I think at the beginning, you guys, like not that I'm doing anything to get herpes, but I was like, oh my God, ¿qué me está pasando en el labio? ¿Por qué me está saliendo esta roncha? You know, like when a pimple's barely about to go in? Yes. At first I thought it was an ingrown hair, right? Because usually like the pimples that I would get like sometimes like on my butt cheeks, they're like ingrown hairs. Y por eso te duele. So I was like, oh my God, I'm getting like an ingrown hair like by my lip area because of like the barba that's trying to grow out. That was my first diagnosis, right? But then when I popped it, I was like, there's no like hair follicle. So it's a pimple.
White.
And I looked up because I was like, oh my God, like, you know when you start kind of feeling shit? I don't know if this is y'all. I start like looking it up on Google. Yo sí, amigas, el Google es mi doctor. But then llega un momento donde te asusta ese pinche doctor y ahí lo dejas a la verga. So at the beginning, I was looking up, I'm like, difference between a pimple on the lip versus a cold sore or fucking herpes. Like yo bien preocupada, amigas. Yo dije, ay no mames, aquí me muero. And I looked it up and there was big differences. I think herpes are like crusty and clusters of like lips. And mine was legit like a grano. I'm gonna put you guys a picture here, you guys, so you guys can see it's like legit a pimple, like on the border.
But it was nasty. Low-key, it was nasty.
And I feel like I made it even nastier by poking it and like.
And you were also eating still.
Eating stuff. And
greasy stuff,
you guys me miraban el teléfono, me lo estaba toque y toque. So I feel like I made it worse. But last night, I was like, you know what? Ya déjatelo en paz. I think after last night's videos, because I looked up on TikTok, like, pimples on the lips, and apparently it's like an infected pimple on the lip because I had an open wound and I never let it like heal. And since it's in a very sensitive area, there's a lot of germs and bacteria going in and out.
Yes, man.
But that's the little elephant in the room, you guys. I just want
so don't mind me and my cold sore.
Don't mind little Tim on the face. We're gonna call him Tim. So enough of the pimple talk. We're getting a little thirsty, so let's start with
Sip of the Week.
Today's drink, we wanted to do a non-alcoholic beverage. Yeah, last week we did wine. And this time for Halloween, we've been meaning to get our protein in. We're trying to get into our little fitness journey. So, of course, we did bring some proteins. We each individually have our favorite protein drinks. So, of course, Danny, introduce them yours.
So mine's the Core Power 26 grams of protein. It's only 170 calories. I love this one. I don't know. It just kind of tastes like banana strawberry Nesquik. It's so good. The only thing thing that I do complain about it is that it's really big, so it's really hard sometimes to take down. But other than that, it's so delicious.
And then Alan, go ahead and choose.
I'm gonna choose this one, amigas. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not like a huge like protein drinker. Like the one that Danny has, you guys, I know, ustedes no me van a cachar tragándome eso. I don't like things that taste too much like protein. So yo voy a escoger este que viene siendo como un tipo yogur, pero en jugo, en líquido.
Eso.
So this one is the Chobani Complete Strawberry Cream. Tiene 20 gramos de proteína, 3 de fibra, para que caguen a gusto.
And then me, I am going to be doing the Oikos Pro 23 grams of protein in peach. It has 0 added sugar. And this is actually a new item that I just found at Ralph's. And I told Danny about it. And they had a strawberry one, but they only had peaches this time, or else I would have brought you this one. But this one is so bomb. It's 140 calories and it's a smaller version. I'm not a milk kind of person. I don't do yogurts like that. So this doesn't give me as much of the shits like this one, to be honest. So I am
honestly
down.
I'm very interested in that one. Not the
try it
flavor
right now.
though. No, I don't really like peach like that. I used to drink a lot of the Greek yogurt, like the normal ones from that brand. They're fucking bomb. Have you tried them?
Yeah, the
yogurts. Yeah, we used to always get them.
Cheers.
All right, cheers to a healthy life. Tenemos que poner a estos ogres on a diet.
I fucking love mine.
This one's bomb. I would love you guys to try the peach one.
No, I don't like that.
I'm running on coffee, amigas, so I definitely feel como que esto me
And like a bite of like a little cheese.
Danish or
Danish,
something?
no?
Oh my gosh, girl. But I'm happy that we ended up going with this choice because low-key it was a little hard because originally we were going to do non-alcoholic drinks, like beverages, you know how they make, like if it's alcohol, but it's not alcohol. But I asked the worker at the store that I was at and they're like, oh no, it's mainly in beer. And obviously Alan, he's not much of a carbonated kind of person. He doesn't even like beer in general. So it was just not going to be a great mix. So I feel like this was actually going to be a perfect combination for this season.
Yeah, and I think protein does get you really full. It suppresses like the food because like you're not really hungry.
We should be promoting this.
Yeah, no, low-key.
You guys, porque en tanto tome y tome y tome, ustedes también se van a volver alcohólicos.
Eso.
So, no, en vez de que agarren su pinche tequila, agarren su protein shake. This is not sponsored, by the way, because it looks like it's sponsored.
Yeah, and one thing that I can tell you guys, protein has made me lose weight like 3 times.
It does.
I always do my protein shakes. I always make sure that protein is very important into your healthy lifestyle. So if you want to do any type of life changes or like a healthy diet, always start with like a protein juice that you like. Always try to like find like substitutes for like your favorite things. So like with me, for example, like I'm a very big soda person. So the one thing that I love to substitute with that is like a Topo Chico, like a sparkling water.
You got me into that.
Yes, make sure that your journey is always to your favor. You don't have to follow everyone's recipe. You always have to find your alternatives for you.
But prioritize your protein, because that's a
Prioritize
really big thing. I mean, guys, I'm not gonna lie, I feel like lately, maybe the past months, I've stopped like kind of keeping up with my protein, because when I first was recovering from weight loss surgery, bitch, that was prioritized.
Yes,
like fucking protein shakes,
even the
protein
protein
yogurts,
waters, remember
the
those?
protein water.
I love the protein
like,
waters.
Agarraba pura proteína, amigas.
Yes.
And I feel like recently I haven't been hitting my protein goals. I feel like I kind of never did though, because I feel like hitting protein goals is really hard, especially on a small stomach.
It is hard, but you at least still eat a lot of protein, like when you
carne,
or like chicken. So I know you don't have a lot of it, but at least you still eat it.
Yeah,
you know, you prioritize the
But
meats.
I feel like I want to start getting back into like protein shakes, protein yogurts to substitute when I freaking do like my snacks.
Yes.
Yeah.
I feel like I want to get back into it, but I'm not gonna let you guys. Maybe I'm the only one. But after eating too much protein back to back to back, como que te asquea.
You know,
like it does. Do you guys have? Does that happen to you?
But
guys?
you know what? Also, if
I
you
feel
really
like that with chicken.
Well, you know what? We get like grossed out even with like fast food.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing, you know, we're going to get grossed out eventually. So it is good
like a
to
cycle.
Yeah,
It
it's a
is.
cycle. It's good to be like, you know what, I'm tired of it, and then just that's how you enjoy life. You have to like maintain your weight like somehow, and then like, you know, complain
Balance
about
it
it and
out.
balance it out.
No, honestly, and I'm the same way with chicken. Chicken, honestly, I've always been really iffy with. It's good in certain things, but I can't have it all the time. I need to have my red meat. I need to have my fucking steak. I need to have my
I
ground
hate
beef.
plain chicken.
Yes.
I hate
can eat
fucking
plain
plain
chicken.
chicken.
Nasty, dude. Man,
Like,
asshole.
Ian willingly eats that. I feel like people that like.
So you would never do
willingly
like a chicken roasted with like a tortilla?
For sure. I feel like I like chicken and I still eat chicken here and there.
The plain.
But I feel like, you know, like that chicken when it's like to lose weight, like plain chicken with white rice.
Yes,
Ay, no, amigas, like siento que la pinche boca se me seca.
Yes.
Like
Like, it kind of feels like dog food, huh?
No.
dude. I'm like, is this
Trágame
the dog?
mi steak. I'm a steak person. I'm a carne asada person. I
Yes.
feel like later on en mi futuro voy a tener muchos problemas because I heard that it's not healthy to eat too much red
Yeah,
meat.
I heard that too.
Pero me vale, amigas. A mí me cabe más la red meat que el pollo.
Let's get going with the podcast. We are going to dive into the comments once again, like in every episode, because previous episode, we were reading some scary stories from you guys. And honestly, they were fucking spooky and scary. And I was just not having it. And we're going to do a round 2 of it. So fuck it. Why not?
It's Halloween. I feel like it's appropriate.
Yeah,
It
it's
is
appropriate.
It really is.
Si no se asustan hoy cuando estén trick or treating, se van a asustar ahorita que están ahorita sentados escuchando eso.
Exactly.
So get your towels ready, get your drinks ready, get everything ready for you to get scared. Turn off the light, turn on a candle, get your Ouija board out, whatever you have to do.
music
Yes.
Should I start?
Yes, I think you
Como soy
should.
invitado, amigas, yo quiero ser el primero. Este comentario, no comentario, amigas, este parece a 5-paragraph essay. Este comentario lo dejó A. Ontiveros Blue Star y dijo, hello, I was born and raised in El Paso, Texas. When I was in high school, we were renting a house that my uncle had bought by the central area. And I remember my uncle saying he heard and saw an old man talking to him, but my uncle was asleep. But he told us that it felt like real life, that this old man was screaming to get out of his house and asking who he was. But years later, when we moved, we heard and experienced different things here and there. But I remember being 16 and 17, and I was watching TV in the living room with my mom and brother. It was around 10 p.m. when all of a sudden I saw this figure peeking in and out of the room like if he was hiding. I literally made eye contact with it and followed it with my eyesight. The TV went blacked out. I didn't longer hear my mom and brother talking. My mom saw me literally following the figure. When I realized it was an old man, I screamed and said, Mom, you saw the old man? And my mom and brother were like, what man? The figure was literally floating and it was white. Since then, I do believe in spirits and ghost stories. Thank you and saludos, Danny and Irma, all the way from El Paso, Texas and New Mexico. Happy Halloween.
Saludos.
I know,
A
imagine.
figure? Have you guys ever heard about the shadow figures? Because that's
Like
another theory. Like, it's not ghost. It's not like anything. It's just like a shadow. You guys have seen the movie, like The Princess and the Frog, with that evil witch,
Oh my God.
and then his shadow is
an
like
evil, basically.
Evil.
So it's the talk that shadow figures are like a different type of demon.
No way.
Yeah.
I thought they would be like kind of the same shit, Loki. What
No,
the fuck?
oh, dude, I've heard so many things about those that low-key, my shadow scares me.
I'm literally looking up something, you guys, because I just wanted to get the name straight. Do you guys believe in ghosts, though? Like, to start
Oh,
off?
yeah, I
That's
believe in
basically
full-on
what it
ghosts,
is.
yeah.
Esta persona está diciendo that they saw like a ghost-like figure in their house from someone that had previously passed away.
Right.
And I fucking believe in that shit.
Yeah,
I
honestly.
went to Santa Ana High School, amigas, and if you guys know or have heard, supuestamente, yo no estaba vivo en el tiempo de que pasó. Our school is like a little haunted, but I feel like every school has like
It
a
is.
haunted
Or even that one in
story.
Anaheim.
Yeah,
The Santa Ana High School haunted story is something along the lines. Había una muchachita que se llamaba Alice, and she was a theater kid. Y de lo que yo me acuerdo, amigas, tenía novio, and she was performing. And back in the day, you guys remember in theaters, I don't know if you guys have ever been like in an auditorium, like that they have like that high pit where they drop someone,
Oh,
like si
sí,
tienen
sí,
que
sí,
caer
sí,
del
sí.
cielo
Ajá,
type
yeah,
of
yeah,
thing.
yeah.
So I guess that girl was like in an up balcony. No sé exactamente cómo estaba la
Like where you fix
situación.
the lights and stuff and
Yeah.
everything, where they strap
right
you so
there,
they can drop.
exactly, right there estaba la muchachita, and I think she was like looking over. There's stories that vary. Some say that she was looking over to look for her boyfriend, and that apparently her boyfriend was talking to a girl, so she was all like hella chismosa trying to see. Other story vary that she was just trying to peek to see if she saw her family members, her friends, or whatever the case may be. But long story short, de lo que se cuenta de eso, amigas, es que la muchachita cayó desde el ceiling hacia el floor, and she cracked her head literally by on the stage.
Oh
Y ahí quedó la muchacha, and for many years, you guys, I don't know if it's true, but I remember my theater teacher told us that for many years, every time that any play or any performances would like take place at that theater in Santa Ana High School, supuestamente a custodian or someone would go and leave a rose into like a certain room in that area to kind of like show respect or kind of show like oh,
we're
I'm
coming
so
peace.
sorry,
Ah,
peace, ya no,
yeah.
que no.
Yeah.
No nos
Don't
espantes
haunt me,
ahorita.
don't push me.
It's crazy because there's even videos on YouTube throughout the whole school that apparently they've caught like a ghost-like figure. Aquí se los vamos a poner, amigas.
I'm getting
Literal,
the
I
chills
just
from
saw one
that.
on YouTube.
Oh my God.
And ever since then, I feel just in general, I feel like I definitely believe in like spirits and stuff like that.
Yeah, like
No, yeah,
paranormal
and
shit.
also the same thing kind of happened to us in Anaheim High School, and what a coincidence that it's also like the theater kid because like, pues, all the theater kids very much explore. We're all horny too.
You're trying to find the secret spots and everything.
No, for real though, and that's what goes in line with like the story time. Well, pretty much at Anaheim High School Theater, they used to have on the stage where if you wanted to like come from the bottom, you would. There's like a thing that you go up, right?
Like how the artistas.
Yes, and they still have it. If you would have like been in our theater, if you go on there, you could see the box right there. So sometimes I believe it's true, but uno nunca sabe, you know?
Yeah.
I guess like some theater kids before they had to go in to do like the play and stuff like that, they went into the theater and se metieron en esa caja to go up, but the stage was already lifted. So ellos pensaron que nada más se metieron ahí, pues if they were gonna go up. Yeah, dude. So I guess they were having like intercourse or whatever. I guess they didn't hear that they were doing rehearsals. Once they heard it, they were trying to get out. They got locked in.
And they got smushed.
And they were doing the recital and they squished them.
Wait, is that for real?
Yeah.
I'm gonna look it up because I've never heard about that one.
Anaheim, but literally every single time when I actually first started going to that high school, I obviously am fucking freshman year, that has always been the story of a tale. Somebody died in the auditorium. Don't go there alone. It is haunted. Just always go with friends because you know te
And I was a really big theater kid, so like my teacher was the one that told us this story, and I've already had like encounters with her, like where we were staying after school and she was giving me like
even the
tips.
stage collapsed.
Yeah.
Well, Anaheim High School is the second oldest like high school in Orange County.
It is.
Santa Ana High School being the first one.
one,
Si saben.
Hey,
Well, it was the first school built in California.
Orange County.
No, like Orange
I think
County.
like somewhere here in California.
Because I know
Yeah.
it is the oldest. Me acuerdo que siempre escuchábamos eso like
Because it was the
going to
first
school
ever
like that.
high school.
Yeah, so everyone would go there.
Yeah,
Anaheim
and
was,
you
like,
know
the
that your
second
guy,
one.
you know that your guys's was huge as fuck, and ours looked like a coliseum.
Well,
Yeah.
apparently Santa Ana High School, ya no sé ahora, amigas, because it's literally been like plus 10 years that we've been, no, it's about to be 10 years that we've been out of high school.
Oh, yeah.
Damn, that's crazy. But apparently back in the day, se escuchaba mucho that Santa Ana High School was like the biggest school in Orange County.
Yes,
Yeah,
it was.
They
But
had
you
the
know which
most
one I feel like
students.
is bigger, or might be bigger? The Your Belinda one. That one's huge.
Belinda.
That one is really
Which
huge.
one's
The one right here.
That one is huge.
Yeah,
not
that
gonna
one's
lie.
huge. But I think the Santa Ana one's bigger.
no,
Yeah.
yeah.
But let's move on to the next scary story. The next one comes from Barba Quintanilla 8772. About 3 years ago, my husband and I purchased our first home. My husband was in the military, so his brother came to visit us and stayed over for a couple of weeks. My husband had to leave for a week to the field, so he wasn't going to be home. I was at home with my 3-year-old son and my brother-in-law. We decided to go out, so I went to my room to get ready. My room had a bathroom in which I was curling my hair. Next to my bathroom was my closet, and it had a door with a doorknob. While I was doing my hair, I heard a noise, and I turned to look out my closet door because the doorknob was turning and rattling. I thought it was my son, so I went to go open the door, but as I was about to open the door, I heard my son laughing from the other side of the house. I stopped and stared at the doorknob to make sure I saw what I believed I saw. I leaned closely to the doorknob to see if it started moving again, as if someone was trying to open the door. My heart dropped because I knew I wasn't imagining anything. All of a sudden, the doorknob twisted all the way and the door opened. I ran the fuck out of there and told my brother-in-law, and when we came back to see the door was completely shut. I don't know what it was because I am skeptical about all these things, but this is something that was stuck with me ever since. I do not live in that home anymore. We made it a rental, thank God.
Oh,
So what, she never opened to see who it really was?
No, because the door opened as she was going, like the
it
door opened
by
on her.
itself.
Yeah.
So she
No había
ran.
nadie.
Well, she ran out. She didn't see anything. And so that when she came
It
back,
was all her kid, like,
Like, lero, soy yo.
she was all playing hide and seek.
I do believe it, but do you guys sometimes believe like our mind kind of makes us like think
Believe
certain
it?
things?
I think so.
Y lo platico because I feel like growing up, whenever I would be left home alone, I would start hearing like people calling my name. Well, not people. I would hear a voice coming from our attic, but I felt like it was always just no.
scary.
And this is what I'm going with. Like I felt like sometimes our mind, because we're scared, it would happen a lot. Like in the beginning of when I first started staying home alone in that brand new house, growing up, and I felt like it might have been like my mind kind of like playing a trick,
Right.
Kind of like que asustar a este pinche pendejo.
Right.
Because I remember when we went, because it happened like 2-3 times, and when my parents went to go check, no había nada. So like, what if like in certain situations where we feel like we've encountered like
Or
certain
did see something,
encounters,
it wasn't really it, because
it's just
true.
our head.
Our brains literally fuck with us so hard. Like, come on, like there's fucking like body dysmorphia, like all this shit. Just imagine like the shit that we actually think that we're.
But I feel like stuff like that, like when it's like physical and it's like movement and stuff like that, like I feel like that's all like real.
Yeah.
Because like calling out a name could be like, oh well, somebody is just calling out your name, you never know. And it is true. Like even like this last story time that we did sort of say like he was the one that said like he heard someone in his sleep screaming to get out, and it could be his mind that he was going through like a bad dream or something like that.
Yeah.
And I do believe in that as well, but I know you can't be scared of that, like but you kind of have to be like, whoa, what if it is real? Like that's the thing that sucks.
And I feel
what
like
are the
that's
chances?
why sometimes people don't believe people.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because it's very much like si tú no lo ves, si no lo sentiste, it's like you're not gonna believe the person if they're
And there's a
telling
lot
you.
of people that have actually not experienced that ever.
Yeah.
So they'll be like, well, I've never experienced
experienced
it.
it.
Yeah.
And then also, if anything, people just think more like logically. I'm not saying that like when we experience ghosts or anything, it's not logical or anything, but it's just like, okay, what's the worst case scenario?
Like
maybe
the
just a
window was
breeze,
open.
or like algo así puede pasar, like just something like probably was not placed properly, and eventually, of course, it's gonna fall or something. Like there's just little occasions like that could have like an actual solution to it, or if not, it's actually like something creepy. Like sometimes even here, like at the office when I stay to edit or anything, and I leave the ice machine on. At first, I was freaking out. Remember that time when I FaceTimed you guys?
Oh yeah,
dude, when I FaceTimed Alan, dude, because I thought I was hearing shit, and I was here at the office alone, and I was like, oh my god,
and homegirl thought we were playing a fucking prank on her. She called me and she's like, where are you guys at? Nosotros allá acostados como couch potatoes on our couch, and we're home watching a movie. Why, what's up? And she's like, call me, because I'm sure you guys are playing a prank on me. I'm like,
yeah, no,
girl.
literally, I was shitting bricks, and it was the whole ice machine the whole time.
What was it? The ice machine?
There was
you know
a
what's
fucking ice
funny?
machine.
One time, you remember when we used to have the Noche de Pendejadas, the setup in the house? I remember when we had our Halloween party last year, we ended up displaying my actual like Chucky, Tiffany, and my Glenn dolls on top of my set. And I would kind of have to show you guys a picture. Maybe you guys can
I have
so
a
they
picture,
can reference it. In between our two salas, está como a little window that kind of like lets you see through it. And I was laying down una vez estaba solo. I think you guys were actually filming one day. I was literally just chilling in the sala and I was acostado like this. But like, obviamente, aquí está como the wall with the window that divides both salas. I was watching TV, and as I was watching the show, it was giving me anxiety. Like, you know, when you guys watch a show and you're so anxious to see what's happening that you start getting anxiety. And I think it was like a scary movie. Keep in mind, you guys, yo miedoso no soy. You guys know I have a bunch of Chucky dolls, a bunch of horror stuff in my house. And that one time, bitch, I literally had the dolls up there, and because I was getting so much anxiety, I would look this way and I would see fucking Tiffany and Glenn looking at me, and I started getting very anxious because I'm like, oh my god, are they hella looking at me? Like, empecé a asustar literal, amigas, that I literally tuve que cambiarle a la tele because I was like, no mames, güey, aquí me voy a volver loco, ¿qué tal que si están vivos los güeyes y algo me hacen? But I think, so like I said, sometimes your mind plays on you, because I swear to God, I felt Tiffany and Glenn looking at me.
Like you felt their energy.
I felt their energy, but it was also because I was already going
you were
through
scared
anxiety from watching the TV.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
it's like your mind again.
I never again, ever since then, have I felt that way.
Yeah, well, even the Chuckies that we have displayed now, sometimes when I'm a little out of it, I feel like one of them turned their head, and then when I turn back, like they turn their head back, and I'm like, wait, did they really turn their head or not? I'm
like,
sure
or is it just me? Like,
no, but that's, like I said, that's just fucking our mind fucking playing our fucking.
No, really one time too, apenas en una peda, amigas, I feel like it's so normal having like a bunch of Chuckies in the house, having like a bunch of stuff. And every single time anyone comes over, siempre nos juzgan, siempre nos andan diciendo, oh my God, don't you get scared? Like, doesn't it ever bother you? And I'm like, no, like I think
like
honestly,
dolls.
I forget that
but
Chucky
you know
is a scary thing.
You know when we used to have all the three dolls right in front of the restroom door? No me acuerdo cuál era, pero en una de las borracheras con mis amistades, I was already a little buzzed, and I went into the restroom, and as I came out, like the first thing I saw when I opened the fucking door was the fucking dolls. Sí me asusté, and I was like, oh my God, it is kind of creepy. Like, if you really think about it, it's so normal to me, but to like a friend or someone that it's not normal to have shit like this displayed, like the first thing you fucking see después de cagar son las muñecas. Or like even right here, the Chucky restroom.
That's true.
Imagine you trying to take this shit, la Tiffany, el Chucky que mirándote.
They're all like, I'm gonna
They're
kill
taking
you.
Can I take a
pictures.
shit in peace?
Dude, no, honestly, if anything, me está ayudando para cagar porque si me están asustando.
Se te sale el cerote del susto.
Eso sí, yes.
The next comment comes from Bianca Y. Avea 2120. Danny and Ashley look like twins with the hair. Both Danny and Irma did a great job with their costumes. I love the podcast.
We
Dude, I
love
always
you.
get that. I always get that when I wear a wig. I either look like my mom or Ashley.
Yeah, you
but
do.
I low-key don't even see it. Like, I really can't see it. Do I look like my mom?
You guys
No,
look
you guys-
strongly like each
You guys
other.
have strong.
When I show you guys like a picture of my dad, like, do you guys think I look like more like my mom or I look more like my dad?
I think you have features
Of both.
of
ends.
both.
I say.
Give me a gun! I'm just kidding.
I'm not gonna even say anything.
that.
I'm just
But,
kidding, I'm
you
just
do
kidding.
have- like at the end of the day, you know.
No,
que tú
well,
no
they're my
te metes en
parents,
las
girl. Like, I have to look for them. Yeah.
Like, you have to have.
Yeah, like I
certain
can't do anything
features.
about it.
Maybe because I've only seen your dad in person once y no lo miré bien. I've
And you've
only
seen him in pictures.
But, and maybe that's why we always say you look more like your mom and your mom and Ashley look like each other. But I feel like si tienes unas cositas de tu papá, but I think a lot of them are like your mom.
Yes, your mom has very strong genetics.
Yes. And I feel like it's like the same thing with Ashley. Like Ashley doesn't see it, but it's because you also want to be like your own person.
Yeah.
Well, no,
Not like that, not like that.
I don't look like Ashley. Ashley looks
Who
like
do
me.
I look like? Because I feel like
Handsome Shrek. Just kidding.
who do I look like? My parents. I feel like none of them.
Honestly, your mom.
Really?
Yeah, I don't
I
see
feel
your
like I
dad.
look nothing like
Gretel
my
looks
mom.
like her dad.
And see, a lot of people tell Gretel that she looks like my mom.
I think you
Just
look
that
a
my
little
mom is
bit
more morenita. But I feel like I look.
more like your dad, and then I think that Gretel looks more like your mom.
Your mom's pretty.
Yeah.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that I think she's ugly.
You're like, no, my dad.
No, because I've never thought I looked like any of them.
Really?
Really,
Honestly,
yeah.
I feel like you just have like.
It's just very subtle features, but the best features that
Like,
you have of your
growing up,
family.
we
You
would
know what I
always
mean?
make jokes saying que yo era el hijo del lechero. Because en México se acostumbraba que
but
un
if you
señor
really,
venía
if you
todo
really,
con leche.
if you,
And it was that guy that's
No, that's how my mom actually had
But
así va el chiste, así va el chiste.
Yeah,
You guys know
sí.
what I mean? It's like, en México, supuestamente las leyendas, maybe still in the day, I'm sure, like, it's
never
like, you know, in Mexico, they would go with, like, the
Milk
garrafones de
carton,
water, like, selling, or they would go to your door. Había un lechero. So whenever someone didn't look like either their mom or their dad, se decía el chiste de que eran hijos de lechero. So I feel like growing up, I would always say that, and people around me would always say that because I look like neither of them.
Because if you really think about it, look at when they wear makeup and then you wear makeup and then your mom wears makeup, like you
it's
guys all
yeah,
together.
that's when you guys
So like
all
that's
alike.
like your features start coming out. Like okay, like
I
it
think
is
I got my
Martita.
mom's smile.
And as
My mom's
and as
smile.
well, your dad's never gonna wear makeup, so you know.
I should put him in glam.
Yeah,
I wonder if my dad would let
to
me.
see it. Yeah, you probably will.
Señor Luis. Lo estoy invitando aquí públicamente.
Right? No, I for sure look hella
Like your
like
mom.
my mom.
Yeah, like
Your
your mom.
mom.
My mom
Irma's
is my
mom
twin.
literally shot her out and said copy
Yeah.
and paste.
No, literally.
Irma
and
could use her ID, literally.
Yeah, I literally for Costco, I got her ID, bitch. Like I'm set to go in with no problem.
They
Like
don't even question you like
They
when they're
don't.
like 50 years old.
you know of what? Like my mom's age vibes?
Yeah, because she's like 50 something.
Yeah, she's like about 55 around
You're
there,
like,
yeah.
so do I look 55?
I'm like, am I that old?
Damn,
No.
like you be using her ID like that?
Nah, dude, but tiene pelo chino
No,
y
you
todo.
do look like
But it's
her a
'cause,
lot.
dude,
You just look
my
like a mini
mom,
version.
she has really, really strong genetics. Like, for example, for my sisters, all of my sisters, me, my younger two sisters, we
And
look
your
like my mom.
brothers.
No,
Yes,
your
brothers look like your
my
dad.
brothers
No,
look like my
your
dad.
brothers
But
look
you
like
know
your
what?
mom.
Your second oldest sister looks the least like your mom and you guys. Porque tú, tu
Really?
hermanita y tu mamá parecen como que si estás viendo like someone growing up. Like your little
Yeah.
sister is like the baby version of your mom. You're like the adult, like
the
25,
teen kid, yeah.
26. The teen, this
teen.
bitch. She's all señora about to hit your 30s. She's like the teen.
She's like
feel
50.
it.
I'm like, no, mi amor. But you know what I mean?
Yes, I get
but
you.
I think your sister, she does have features. I think your sister has features of both.
Really?
Pero ustedes, tú y tu mamá parece que tu mamá las cagó.
I know, eso
Literally.
sí.
How does that feel like looking like your mom? Do you
Honestly,
like that?
I honestly don't mind it at all because I'm not gonna sit here and say my mom's not ugly.
No,
I
no,
think my
she's
mom's
so
beautiful.
cute.
All of our mom mothers are beautiful.
Yeah,
you
true.
know.
I think like Irma also inherited a lot of, but I feel like in general, like we can either take actual traits, like physical traits, or also we can take
The like
actual,
emotion,
the
like that-
personality.
The personality.
Oh, yeah.
My personality's from my
Your
mom. My
Your
mom.
mom, like
She's a
Irma's mom
shady
is like
bitch.
quirky.
She queen-
Oh
no.
no, she is shady.
She's shady. My mom's shady but quirky, but
so
like
is Irma.
cutesy, you know? Like And that's where I
like
get it
Irma's.
from. So just so you guys know.
But Irma's mom is very like
Yes.
animated.
Yes.
Your mom, oh my God, can I say that without getting canceled?
I think it's not a bad thing.
Personality gives me like la güereja y algo más.
Oh
like
my
very
God, I know which
bubbly,
one,
and she
yes.
also kind of looks like her. Can you put it side by side?
I'm down. I could
like
do that. I could do that.
respectfully, she
Mom,
does.
don't get offended, okay?
No,
It's a good way.
Okay.
Don't come
But I always say she reminds me of her in a positive way.
Yeah.
Like very happy, like
bubbly,
like joyful.
Yeah.
My mom's just always like that. She's always just been very like a joyful, like a very mother. Like
A
very
mother.
mother.
Do you guys think I get personality from like my mom or dad? My mom, because my dad doesn't have personality, or at least I don't know his.
Your mom.
Not like that, because like I said, I don't have
my
like
dad is serio, so he doesn't
your
have
dad's
it.
serio.
Very serio, very like
One
old
time he
style
gave me
fashion.
raw meat.
Hey, but I didn't mean to though.
No, you guys, can I tell him that story?
I mean, you can't,
Not
but
in a
like, in
bad
that, like
way.
the thing
No,
is,
no,
like,
no,
you
no.
know, my parents didn't mean to.
No, the first memory I have of Irma's dad, in the beginning of our friendship, I feel like Irma's parents, one, didn't believe that me and Danny were really gay.
Yeah.
Like, Irma's parents would tell Irma, like, no te confíes, luego van a querer contigo.
Yes.
Le metían, ¿sabe qué cosa? We wouldn't even tell you,
Honestly,
bitch.
my mom would be like, pues una nunca sabe, you never know what they want to do
You're
to
a pretty
you.
young lady.
You're like, you have features, very voluptuous.
She's like, no se les vaya a antojar. Literally,
No,
and when Irma would
my girl,
tell
I'll
us
pick
that,
another
I would be
sandwich.
like, ay, tu mamá.
Yeah.
Like, nada que ver, right?
And I
then-
would tell her too. I'm like, Mom, they're gay. Like, I
Yeah.
swear.
And then also during that time, Irma's parents growing up were also kind of more stricter.
They
on you,
were.
like,
They wouldn't let
dejaban
me
salir.
sleep over.
Like there was many times where Irma would sleep over at her house, and they would literally call her like, you know what, we're gonna kick you out, type of shit. So like at the beginning, I felt like her parents kind of thought that like Irma like going out a lot, or Irma, hanging out with us. Also, when you cut your hair, they thought you were going lesbian because of us. She thought que lo joto rubbed onto her. So I remember the first time we hanged out, like at her house, Irma was like, oh, my mom. Keep in mind, her dad's very serious. I don't think your dad did it on purpose.
No,
though.
he
I will
didn't do
say.
it, but my dad's
But
just
I do
very
like to
serio
echarle
like
como,
that.
I do like to echarle como, what is it called? Carrilla.
Like taunting?
I remember one time they invited us. It was like a carne asada. They were making burgers.
I
Was it
think
for
they
you
were
or your
celebrating for
sister?
her birthday.
It was algo que estábamos
Yeah, it
celebrando.
was for your birthday.
I think it was
yes,
una
I was for your
carnita
birthday.
asada.
A carne asada for you.
Because I don't. Yeah. It's
yeah.
like a carne asada. And I remember we went. They were making hamburguesas, and I like my meat very well done, right? And I remember he was in his señor era by the grill, and I was like, "Oh, me da esa," me pointing at the
Like,
fucking
"Cuál lo
one that
que yo
was almost
quería?"
burnt. I'm like, me pointing at the charcoal. I was like, "Me da esa,"
Lo que
bitch. He looks at me and he goes, gives me the raw one. Y yo me quedé callado, amigas. That first
Did you eat
introduction,
it?
I was like, no, I took a bite. Me hice como que no tenía mucha hambre. But then I told her, and she's like, no, I don't think my dad did it on purpose.
No, yeah,
But
I
it's
did
okay.
feel bad.
He
'cause I
did.
was
He
like,
hates gays.
I
Just
told
kidding.
my dad shit. I'm
Wait,
like,
did
why'd you
you?
do that to my friend? No, I
you?
didn't.
Oh, I'm
No,
like,
I
why didn't you?
But it's because like también I was like, oh my God, like you should have told me at that moment. I would have been like, Dad, dale un pedazo buena. No
Maybe
seas
he just
así.
didn't hear me.
He probably didn't hear you.
No, yeah,
or he
but he was
probably
more
saw
serious.
he probably
Yes.
saw that you pointed at the raw one on
yeah.
What I'm
accident.
going with that is to back up, like the point at the beginning, I did kind of take it like, oh my God, he hates me, or like
Yeah.
he fucking wants me out. But
He doesn't
then
want
I
me to be
started
friends with her?
knowing him more, y cada vez que lo mirábamos,
Es bien así,
muy
es
serio.
bien
Hasta con
serio.
Irma, when she talks on the phone with him, very serious
Yeah.
man, very respectful.
Like
nunca-
it seems like he's mad, but he's not. That's just how he
Yes.
talks. Like literally, he'll be like, "Hola, pa, ¿qué estás haciendo? Ay, nada, aquí estoy. ¿Qué pasó?" Like I see, like literally very
But
much
your
like
mom
that.
is very bubbly.
Yes, I'm like, oh no, mija, ¿qué pasó? ¿Qué tiene? Ay, tú dime. This
I
is
wonder
this,
how
this is
the
that.
relationship is, like
Honestly,
having someone super serious and someone
he
super bubbly.
What's the yin and yang?
Sometimes. Lately, like I'm not trying to put their business out there or anything. Like there was a little bit of a little rocky moment where like my dad would just come home and wouldn't even say hi to her or anything. Like they wouldn't talk at all.
Maybe
and
he's
like
depressed.
No, and that's what I was telling my mom. And I sat on the couch with my mom because she looked a little, like I was like, Dad, Mom, like what's going on? Like is everything okay? Like I noticed you guys aren't really talking. So I was basically being like the little therapist between them. So I first talked to my mom and then I talked to my dad after when he was outside. And I was just kind of like trying to understand both ends. But now they're actually like talking more and now they're like good on obviously.
Ah,
But
they're
I'm
in
pretty
love
sure,
now.
No, they're in love and stuff. But I'm pretty sure it's because my dad has like his moments where he's just like doesn't know how to express his feelings.
I feel like as a man, it's
he
hard.
doesn't. Like honestly, when my grandma passed away, which is his mom, I didn't see him cry for shit. He didn't show any type of emotion because that's just how bottled up with everything he is.
He
and
was
stuff.
raised
So
like that too,
He
huh?
was very raised like
like,
that. And
to
just imagine
himself.
his dad, my grandpa, he passed away when he was like probably 10 years old.
That's sad.
Yeah, so literally, like, I feel like he just never understood how to, like, process his emotions. So, yeah, that's just another whole story that we're getting
I'm
into.
like,
And stuff.
traigan al podcast al papá de Irma. You personality-wise, who do you think you got it from? Because obviously, we don't know your dad too much, but
I know for a fact there's a couple of bad sides that I have from my dad and a lot of things from my mom. So I can see both sides, which I hate both sides of like the way that they are. The way that they got raised was completely different from the way that I got raised. And my mom did a really good way of like raising me and always being like, be kind to others and stuff like that.
I think your mom just has like a hard personality because she's gone through so much.
Yes. And she always has to have this figure of being like a strong woman, which my mom is a strong woman, but I don't need her to be strong anymore. As much as she showed me to love others and care for others, like she just always been like, oh well, I love my kids and that's it. You know, I love my kids, I love myself, and that's it. I'm learning through it, and like I don't give my mom anything bad for being like her, but like I feel like I take really good sides from my mom's side because she's a very
traits. You got like some good traits from your mom.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like I got really good traits of my mom, where she's like, my mom's a hustler. My mom wants to better for herself, and she always sees better for herself and stuff like that. So I do feel like I'm more like my mom for sure.
No. I do feel like regardless, like sometimes we like sit down and we talk about like the bad things we got from our parents, or just like to talk about like, my parents did this or that. I do feel like regardless, all three of us, like obviously we know our parents and like we've talked to each other about how our parents are. I feel like regardless whether they did some things bad, I feel like we all have good attributes from each and every one of them. You know what I mean? Because se nos pega.
And not only that, but everyone always says like you really are your parents. No matter what it is, you are your parents. You can't. We like to highlight the bad, and like but you also have to be like, you have to highlight the
good. What is a good?
No, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Is like once you highlight the bad, at least now you know what you have. Like, you recognize what you have, like, but then you also have to recognize the good, because it's like that's what made you the person that you are today.
What's one thing? I'm your interview. No. What's like one thing you guys feel like you guys got good from your mom?
I feel like that I'm strong, that I take a lot of things in. I'm a very strong person. That, like I've gone through a lot of things, that I'm like a very strong person still. Like I don't let that beat me down. Like I'd rather talk about it and just try to get over it than being like, oh well this and that. Like that's one thing that I love that I have about my mom, that she gave me to be like strong, like but with my emotion. No, not like bottling in, like just being like strong, like a strong person to be able to
literally.
No, because some people that did not have like a dad, instead of them being strong, they'll lead to wanting to do drugs or wanting to do bad things and stuff like that. At least I was strong enough to never be like, like I need another escape. I was able to hold it down and be like, all right, well, this happened to me.
You gotta figure it out.
I gotta figure it out. I'm stronger than my emotions. I'm stronger than this, So I feel like that's what I got from my mom. Your mom does have
a lot of perseverance, especially with everything she's gone through.
Yeah.
She's been able to be in tough situations and
still live like
top.
Yes.
On top.
Yeah, and that's what I love that I have about my mom.
What about your mom?
Honestly, for me, for both parents, so for my mom's side, I will have to say that I got the very quirkiness, the very caring side of her, for sure. She's always told me to be very like respectful to people, always say hi, all the basic stuff. Now with my dad, even though I said that he's very serio, he's very, old-fashioned Hispanic person, I feel like he's always taught me to try to be as independent as I can. Yeah, I could have my dad do things for me, but I feel like he's always tried to show me what I can do, and I don't need a man to kind of do that for me too. He's always tried to make me feel. What? I mean, I would say probably like whenever I'm building stuff for furniture, or whenever I need help with like
car stuff.
He's like, tú hazlo.
No, literally.
He'll show you.
He's like, no, vete pa allá mejor. No, like literally for like my car situation, like if I'm washing it, for example, this recent time I was washing it, and he was like, hey, open your trunk, let's see how much oil you have. Okay, this is how much windshield oil you need. So honestly, I feel like I got really good personality traits from them, and I feel like those are it.
I feel like for me, one of the most positive things, and one of the things that I'm most grateful that I got from both my parents, not just my mom, but my dad also. Yo sé que ustedes siempre me escuchan, not really talking so positively about my dad, but una cosa que siempre he dicho, you guys, maybe he was not there emotionally for me, but my mom and dad really did show me what was it like to be a hard worker. My dad can be anything, but one thing I I will say is que a mí nunca me faltó techo, comida, ni ropa. Thanks to my parents, you know, sometimes we were going through it. I remember growing up, I would always get so embarrassed because when my dad lost his job, this was maybe already like going towards like high school, maybe 8th grade. My dad started having a lot of, you know, work issues. Lo corrieron de su trabajo que tenía for many years. Y empezó a ir a la Home Depot. But at Home Depot, if you guys know anything about going to work at Home Depot, you're not clocking in at Home Depot. You're literally going outside of Home Depot to like try to see if anyone wants to pick you up for a job. It's literally like, if you get lucky, you get lucky. Me acuerdo que mi papá iba mucho. And I remember there was times that we would literally be struggling. Íbamos a agarrar despensa. I was always so embarrassed because like my dad and my mom sometimes would take us. And I would sometimes see people I knew and I would always get so embarrassed as a kid. But I feel like now as an adult, I was like, you know what? My parents were doing anything and everything to make sure we were fed with a roof over our table y que nunca nos faltó nada. So I feel like seeing my parents always working and always, you know, figuring out how to get out of a bad situation. I feel like me as an adult, that's why I'm such like a hard worker at everything I do. Y por eso le pongo el 100% at everything I do. So I do have to say my parents win for that one because ever since growing up, siempre los miré lo tanto y lo mucho que trabajaban para tener lo que teníamos.
Well, WWWs all around.
All our parents.
Well, now I did want to do a special announcement on here because we just did a recent YouTube video that probably you guys already know, but how about how I got my residency? USA! USA! USA!
¡Llámale a la migra que aquí los esperamos!
But yeah, you guys, I ended up getting my residency 2 weeks
can we
ago.
Put it here to display it?
Yes.
Okay.
Now that's not my real stuff, so don't even try it.
Yeah,
Imagine
it's
if they
just-
let me
it's
choose
all
my
your
own picture,
fucking-
my social security number, my fucking residence
It's all
number,
your
everything.
huellas. They
It's
apply
all-
you.
it's all
Literally.
fake
On a
besides the
fucking criminal
picture.
scene.
Bitch.
Let's not give them ideas.
But yeah, you guys, I had found out maybe like 2 weeks ago, I did upload a YouTube video of when my mom did tell me. But I am just super grateful for my mother. Like, I just wanted to kind of like put it out there that my mom really did work really hard for me and my stepdad and her to get our residency, and it's finally showing off like how long we waited almost like 15 plus years just for this process. And my mom
Just for
always
this moment.
yeah, just for this
Yeah.
moment. My mama alone, like when we got here to the States, the first thing that she wanted to do is figure out how she could be legal here in the United States so that she can work. And she knew how much of a difficult time I was going to have since I wasn't a U.S. citizen. Coming to the U.S. citizen without having social or anything like that. She knew I wasn't going to be able to go to like college. She knew I wasn't going to be able to find a job easily. She knew I wasn't going to be able to do taxes easily like every normal person does, you know?
She basically didn't want you to go through the
She
struggle
had
that
the
she went
fear
through.
of an undocumented
Yeah,
person.
well, she had a fear of what she was actually
Yeah.
going through because
Yeah.
my mom was a very young woman when she came here to the States.
What was she, like 14, 15?
Yeah, 14, 15. So, like, I imagine her, she probably felt like she was helpless, like, having to live off of my dad because my dad did come here to the States and started working
Pues
with
por
her
eso la
brother,
aguantó
you know?
mucho.
That was her husband. She was in need of him at
Yeah.
that moment because she was barely coming, but she didn't know how difficult it was going to get until when she was like, well, I want to go to school. Well, I can't.
Yeah.
I can't come here because I don't have this and that, you know? So my mom really did work really hard, and I can't say that my stepdad didn't either. My stepdad worked so hard for the first couple of years for us to be able to pay for the lawyers. And like, I give so much props to my stepdad. Like, I can't believe that he not only did that for himself, but he did it for me and my mom because he really could have only paid for himself, but he didn't. He paid
Or he
for me
could
and
have
my
just put
my
himself
mom.
in the trámites.
Yeah, he could have, you know? I'm filled with so much emotion. No sé cómo, like,
hard to believe.
Yeah, it's hard to believe because I haven't actually
Processed it.
well, not only
Oh,
that,
gone
but like
out.
I haven't actually gone out of the United States because not only that, like, yeah, I'll travel to New York and stuff, and I've never really been scared of that because I'm like, well, tengo DACA. What the fuck are they gonna do? They're gonna arrest me? Like, it's gonna be a whole on thing on the news. That fucking they caught a DACA person and like they put me in jail for no reason, and I was gonna make a big deal about it.
Yeah,
but a lot of new emotions are starting to come up because
It's official.
and not only that, I feel like this is a new journey to my life. The first thing that I wanted to do when I got my papers was to go visit my grandma's tumba, and I just can't believe that it's gonna happen soon. Like it just still doesn't feel real. That's sometimes I want to cry because I'm like, fuck, like
it does seem surreal because even me as his partner, you guys, I've known Danny for so many years. We're about to be like 10 years like knowing each other, and we're about to be 9 years together. And I feel like ever since I've known him, I've known that you guys have been in el proceso. I think when I met you, did you guys already have the whole legal case going on? Yes, but I don't think I knew too much in the beginning. About it, in the beginning, I just knew he had DACA. Y obviamente, as a DACA recipient, I feel like we all wish for like the road to citizenship. And, you know, we would talk about, you know, him having visa U and being in the process. And all those years ago, it just seems so far away. Like, whenever you think of an immigration case, if you guys have ever had one, you know, those cases go years and years. There's people that are in cases for years and they never end up getting them. So when his case first started, it just seems so far. So to be actually like living in it and it actually happening does seem surreal.
Yeah, it does.
Really like today when we picked up your card, I was like, what the fuck? Like, it felt so like, oh shit, like he has his fucking card.
Card, dude.
How does that feel?
I don't know. I just seeing green, I didn't think it would look so good on me. I was just kidding. No, but for real though, like I can't sit down and be like here and be like, oh, I'm gonna cry and like, you know, but it's just a lot of emotions because like I told you guys, like it's just a lot of things going on to my head of like, when am I gonna go to Mexico? What am I gonna do with this? What can I take advantage of? It's just so many things. And then not only that, like in 2 years, hopefully, you know, crossing my fingers, I'm able to apply for my citizenship. And that's like even more overwhelming because I never thought that I would be in this position today. Like I thought of myself having my residency maybe when I was like 40 or 50.
Before your 30s, dude, you literally got your residency.
You're the American. Did you ever think like, oh yeah, we're applying for papers, but they're never gonna come?
It was the fear of not getting approved, and especially with me because if you guys don't know, when we got our case for visa U, my lawyers were like, okay, well, we already have a case here, but you could still reapply for DACA, and you'll have like your 2, you know, work permits. And then I was like, okay, well, I'll go ahead and fill out all the paperwork for my DACA, and I still had to pay almost $700. So when that all started happening, I was like freaked the fuck out because I still didn't get my work permit with my visa U. I still had my work permit through DACA. So when they denied my DACA, I still didn't have...
Did you ever talk about that?
No, this is the first time I'm talking about it. When I was renewing my DACA, I was still in the process of getting approved for my work visa through the visa U.
It was pending.
Yeah, it was pending. So when my DACA expired, I couldn't work. At all.
And that's why you had to do from T-Mobile.
Yes, so then I stopped working with T-Mobile for maybe like about a month, but at that moment you're just kind of like, what the fuck, like this is real, like I can't work, I can't do like this, I can't
hit you, I was like, can't do shit
so paper. I was like, what the fuck, like I really do need it. So me desperé, like I would call my lawyers. It sucks, but I was even rude to my lawyers for a bit because I was like, well, how do you guys not know, like you guys should know all this.
You, like just wait, all you have to do is wait. And he's like, bitch, my bills ain't gonna wait.
And they wouldn't understand that. And then not only that,
well, I'm sure they would understand, but it's very much,
but like in your mind you're kind of like, well, they don't understand that, but you know, I'm sure they do.
Yeah, there's a middle
person. So like when we were like, okay, well then we need to start also the paperwork already for my residency, that's when I also had to start paying. So I was like, well, I'm not working, gay. Like, how do you want me to fucking pay for this? And like it was just like a lot of things going on at the moment that I finally was like, okay, fuck, this is real. So now I understood the value of like having like my work visa here, and now to understand that I don't have to live in that fear anymore. Like I can literally go to a job and be like, well, I'm a resident. I don't have to. Not only that, I don't have to reapply, because if you guys don't know, for DACA, if you guys do have DACA or you guys have any type of like work visa here in the United States, when you work with those work visas, they do expire. So they expire in DACA's case every 2 years. When the expiration date was coming up, my work would send me an email to be like, hey, remember, you have to reapply. So that's also a fear of like, oh fuck, like after this date, and it really was that day. They would kind of
remind you para que presentaras your new card, right?
So like literally that exact day, they were like, well, the day that it expires, after that, you can't work. If I do end up getting a job again, I don't have to worry about that anymore.
You know what's so crazy? Like Danny said, he has never told it. When he reapplied for his DACA, so if you guys don't know, like Danny said, you have to renew your DACA every 2 years. It used to be every 4, or no? Has it always been every 2 years?
I think it was every 2 years.
When Trump had come in and he was trying to take out the program, I think they had done it for a year.
Uh-huh.
I remember, and I was like, what the fuck? You're telling me that every year I have to pay?
$700.
Like, what the hell? Y me acuerdo the last time Danny reapplied when he got denied, he literally paid all the process. I think we spent like $700 just for his renewal process y mandó el dinero a inmigración. Le mandaron una tarjeta, amigas, diciéndole que no lo podían aprobar, que porque ya tenían otro caso. If you guys also don't know anything about legalities, like you can only have one
immigration
open case with immigration. You can have multiple, like, you know, submissions. Like, let's say you're having a DACA, you're doing visa.
But once in the process,
only one can be active. So they literally like told him, you're not going to be able to have DACA no more. And at the time, it did hit him because he was in the process of visa. He had already gotten approved, but they hadn't sent him his work permit card. So when he got that news, he's like, what the fuck? Then I'm kind of lost. And I'm kind of like in the middle. Like he was in an awkward situation where like he was approved for visa U, but he didn't have his work permit, but then he wasn't a part of DACA, so he couldn't fucking work. And the worst case about that, you guys, I remember que ni te regresaron el dinero.
No, they didn't give the money back.
And are they supposed to return you the money when you get the
Well, I mean, if they fucking declined you, que se quedan con el dinero.
Oh, that's stupid.
They never returned Danny back.
Like sometimes even with DACA's like situation or even like getting applied and stuff, I feel like sometimes it could be a little like not scammy, but like obviously because you get it done. But and then not only that, but I feel like they overdo the charging part. But because yes, there's so much paperwork and there's so much stuff that have to be done, but they're not turning in the paperwork, or they're not telling you what you need to bring, or they're not telling you like, hey, this is the time frame of what. Like they should at least update you. They should at least give you
well, no, they did do all of that. They did do all of that where they were like, oh well, you need to turn in this paperwork, and I was really good at turning in all my paperwork. As soon as they told me turn in my paperwork, like that's the first thing that I did. I stopped everything and I was like, I need to get my fucking paperwork in because I'm not about to fucking be like the last one. And I remember, and I think this is why, because my mom did tell me this, the reason why mine came out first was because I submitted my paperwork first. ¿Sí te recuerdas?
Oh, yeah.
¿Sí te recuerdas? And I told my mom, why haven't they submitted?
When are you going to do it? And when you did it, they didn't even
have theirs?
Yes, I remember. And going back to what Irma said about the scammy situation, I feel like the whole DACA program, even though it's created so many opportunities, I feel like the only downside about it as a DACA recipient is that to the government, yes, they are helping us have like a job y todo eso, but I feel like at the end of the day, it is a business for them. And I say that in the way of, you know, I used to think, hopefully I think wrong. Hopefully, you know, there is a pathway to like residency or citizenship through DACA, but there obviously isn't one as of now. But the way I think about it now, it's like, why would they? Why fucking would they?
When it makes it a lot of money.
The other day, bitch. I did the math.
They get paid almost like 33 million, the government.
I think right now there's about like 500,000, like 500,000 DACA recipients. If you do an average of like, let's say $500 is the average, or $400 is the average of how much they charge to renew your DACA. And, you know, some people pay $400. Some people like myself like going with someone que les ayude, so terminan pagando más. Like if you really do the math, that's over $220 million.
So of course, like, of course, they wouldn't. It wouldn't.
Hopefully there is though a pathway. You know, I feel like as a DACA recipient,
there's always hope.
Yes, the hope. But then, you know, llega un momento where you're like, bitch, we're gonna keep hoping. Aquí nos vamos a morir.
I mean, it's better. It's better.
Skeleton, bitch.
Well, I mean, it's better to be hoping because, like I said, someone that has been waiting for a very, very long time. And this is my message to you guys because I have our friend group, a couple of them, you know, are in the process and they've been waiting as well for a very long time. But I also shared the news with my friends for that reason because I wanted to give them, I wanted to give them hope. Don't get frustrated that you have to turn in this paperwork, you have appointments, or you have to do this, or that they're asking for one more paperwork. Like the reason why they're doing this is because they know what they're doing and they want you to get their residency. What lawyer does not want you to get their residency? Like that's so like you know like that's
they would
not
have failed their job.
Yeah, it's like they failed their job.
If they
like
were purposely doing it
exactly.
To not get
So keep having hope. I'm so happy that we have this.
But nonetheless, just to add to what Danny said and what I was saying earlier, I feel like regardless, I'm so grateful for the DACA program because even just with DACA, even though I don't have any hope right now for citizenship, I am very grateful because I'm able to still work. I'm able to not have that worry of like, fuck, what if something happens with immigration? What if I go into a retén? I don't have to no longer fear getting deported. So I do feel like it is a blessing, but you know, I feel like we should be able to have some pathway.
And there's always going to be a lot of fear when it comes to immigration. There's always like you never really know.
Because you were scared.
You never really know.
I remember when they canceled his DACA and they approved his visa U, when they first did that, they didn't tell him like how many years more was it going to take for his visa U to actually come in. I remember there was a time where Danny was like, what if they do something and like there's an easier pathway to residency with DACA? I no longer have that. Like, what is that? Like, it is a very, like, you never know.
Yeah, it's always a never know when it comes to immigration. It's always one of those things.
But we're happy!
USA! 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 Hip hip hooray!
Not the hip hip hooray!
Honestly, but that's just amazing news. And I just want to end it with, like, obviously, I'm so happy.
How did you feel like we were keeping that a secret from you? Because Irma did not know for 2 weeks.
Anything. I'm not gonna lie. That week when you guys told me like that you guys were gonna do a whole surprise thing, I was a little bit sentida, a little bit, because you know I wanted to make sure like I was also there to actually like help you guys out for the party and stuff. But obviously you guys handled it well. You guys did amazing.
Why didn't you want her to know, baby? That's the question.
I didn't want her to know because I feel like I wanted her to get the reaction with all of my friends together. I just wanted to actually be a surprise for her than having to be like, oh, Irma, I just have to tell you something, and then she'll be like, oh, congratulations. No, I wanted to feel celebrated.
Like a genuine reply from her.
And not only that, like, I wanted to celebrate.
Yeah.
And like, imagine if I end up just telling Irma, and she's like, oh, congratulations, like, and we cry it out and stuff like that. We're not gonna go anywhere with that. I wanted to fucking drink up. I wanted to be like, it's a reason why I did this. You know what I mean?
I remember when you were telling me, because Danny tampoco me iba a decir a mí.
No,
He did it. Why you were gonna? Your mom didn't want you to tell me.
I didn't want to tell you, but I knew as like a
partner.
I just couldn't. I just couldn't as you being my partner. Like I just could not.
And
like
there was so many
do it.
moments, you guys, because we're so used to kind of telling Irma everything. There was a lot of moments when we would have like movie night that like casi se nos iba a salir and we're like, oh shit, she don't know.
Yeah, there was a couple
But like
of
Danny
times.
said, like from the beginning, Irma was very like, it looked like she was sentida because we're like, oh.
She looked annoyed.
I did know that there was like an announcement going
on.
on.
And I knew, and I was literally like, and I was even telling him like, oh, like what
is
if
this,
it's and my first guess was his papers.
And then I told her, I was like, respectfully, friend, I was like, you need to stop guessing.
I was like, okay, no worries.
So
like, I got it. It's fine.
Well, no, she still guessed a couple of times.
No, and I still guessed a couple of times.
But then I was like, okay, like I'm not gonna answer anymore.
Yeah, no, literally. But then after that, like once the whole surprise happened and everything, like I was just like, wow, like
it worked out.
It honestly did work out. Obviously, I'm sorry that if like I came off very like, you know, very like, oh my gosh, why didn't you want to tell me or anything?
Your reaction was so genuine
honestly,
though
like,
when it did happen.
I don't want to cry or anything because obviously I have the glam and everything, but it just makes me happy because I understand I don't want to cry, but because I understand what my parents went through, so I understand the process how it was for you.
And well,
so
not only that, you saw
like,
me going through all of it. Like
I've been there since the beginning. Like ever since we
beginning.
started our friendship, like I've always known about this whole situation, and I always understood your fear of like driving to certain places or to even traveling to certain locations and stuff like that. And now to feel that relief, like it makes me so happy for you. And I don't want to cry, but it just.
Irma, we have TikToks to do after this.
But honestly, I'm just really, really proud and happy for this.
No, and I am too, baby. You know, I've told you, and I'm really happy, you guys, not just for Danny, but for his mom, my suegros, because it has been a journey. You know, there's been a lot of up and downs, pero yo siempre le digo a Danny, con so many up and downs, siempre va a haber un arcoiris at the end, and this is your arcoiris.
Like, I literally feel like on cloud 9 because of this.
This is arcoiris.
Yes. Well, talking about residency, how about how me and Alan almost broke up because he didn't tell me he had DACA.
Do you remember that?
Low key.
Well, Irma was actually not part of that. It was just us two,
yeah.
and we were at my mom's house.
This was literally, you guys,
like
at
our
the
very beginning.
of
Like
our
Alan didn't even live with me vibes.
We were still in high school at the time.
Yeah.
We were still in high school, and I started dating Danny. At this time, if you guys know anything about my backstory when it comes to my immigration status, growing up, I was almost bullied into me kind of protecting like that part of me. Like I wouldn't like to tell anyone that I wasn't born here because I didn't want people to look at me or make me feel like I was less than them. I feel like now me vale verga porque hasta con papeles o no, sé que soy la mera verga.
Eso sí, güey. Eso sí.
Like no paper is gonna define me. Obviamente sí me define porque no puedo ir, pero sí puedo ir, pero regresarme no puedo. But for a long time, I wouldn't tell anyone, not even my closest friends. Irma didn't even know maybe until like 2 years into our friendship.
Yeah, I didn't know her anything. Like I was
maybe after high school. I told you when we started getting super close. But going back with the story with Danny, obviamente when me and Danny first started talking, and he was always very vocal about his like immigration status. Anytime immigration would get brought up, me hacía menso. Me hacía el que no escuchaba, le cambiaba el tema. Ellos en su mente pensaban que yo era todo un pinche U.S. citizen. And I remember one time, do you wanna take it off?
Well, I remember.
Let's see your side. It's the time where I was also mad. You have to agree. Because you made me feel like I was using you as a fucking taxi.
Well, yeah, because I didn't know.
Okay,
but anyways, okay, well, at the time, Alan was already getting like really popular at the time with like social media and stuff, so he would get PR. But when it would come to like big packages, because he lived in like a gated community,
an apartment,
but like in a gated area, yeah. They sometimes wouldn't deliver in there because of X, Y, and Z reason.
So when they wouldn't deliver, the mail would take it back to the actual like USPS to like for you to go pick it up.
Yes. So then Alan one time was like, "Oh, babe, can you take me to go pick up my package?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "Yeah, don't worry, but I'm gonna go do a couple of stuff and then I'll pick you up."
Yeah.
So then I dropped him off at his house and then I went home, and then I don't really remember too much about it, but all I do remember was looking at his location, and his location was at his house, and I was like, "Bitch, I'm about to pull the fuck
to
up."
my defense, I
was about to pull up because I was like, "What the fuck? Where did you go? Like, why didn't you tell me that you needed to go somewhere?" So like, my head, I was thinking so bad, and I was like, "Okay, he went with someone else." You know, uno nunca sabe, guys, you know?
Moment, you know.
So then I pull up to his apartment, and I'm knocking on the door, and nobody's home.
Yeah.
Nobody is home, not even him, girl. So I'm texting him. I'm like, "Hey, I'm outside of your house."
I was like, "I'm upstairs."
He's like, "I'm upstairs."
Yeah. Wait, te brincaste. During that time, you guys, yo no manejaba. We were still in high school. Danny did drive in high school. Tenía su carro, no era de él, era de su mamá. But his mom would kind of let him use it like if it was his. So Danny and Irma, because both of you guys were driving, they kind of became como los choferes del grupo. Cuando Irma podía, she would be the chofer. When Danny could, él era el chofer.
Yeah.
Pero cuando me and Danny started being a couple, pues a mí hizo fácil. Eres mi novio, llévame pa' aquí, pa' allá y pa' acá. I literally, well, I think now seeing it now, I can see where your comment came from. But I remember at the time, I was also so butthurt because I remember I asked him, y ya le había preguntado to take me to run maybe another errand. And I remember I told him, I was like, "Babe, can you also take me here because I'm going to go ahead and, pick this up, blah, 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 blah," right? And he made a comment. He's like, "Damn, mama, your driver or chauffeur," something like that. And that really like irked me because in my head at the time, I was like, "Bitch, I can like take myself." I'm like, or I can take someone else.
I take the bus.
No, yeah, or the bus because at the time yo siempre andaba en bus. So in my head, or an Uber, because I ended up going in an Uber. Ya en ese tiempo yo estaba ganando un poquito de dinero, no mucho, pero sí estaba generando. And I remember I was like, "You know what? Fuck you. Like, I don't need you. Like, you don't need to fucking like take me across the street. Like, I can take myself." The whole immigration thing, I wasn't even thinking of you going inside the UPS. I was gonna make you wait outside. So yo me voy. Literally, I was pissed. He goes to his house. Keep in mind, we were kind of neighbors. He goes to his house.
And that's when Danny ended up being at his house. I was like,
"All right, fuck you. Like, I'm just going to get myself an Uber." I told him that I was still home. Le dije, "Oh, I'm still in the house. I'm going to get ready. Pasaron 20 minutes. Where are you?" "Oh, I'm getting ready. I'm doing my makeup." Y se le hizo muy como fishy because it's like, "Bitch, it's been 40 minutes. Why are you getting ready? You were supposed to just go into your house, drop off your shit, and come back out." Y ahí es donde tú...
And then that's when I was like knocking, and he kept giving me like excuses over excuses about like, "Oh, my grandma's sleeping. Oh, like I'm getting ready. Oh, like just wait." And like I kept looking through the window and nobody was there. So of course, like my first thought is like, this fucking bitch is fucking cheating on me. Yeah. So then as I get out of the fucking As I get out of the community like area, I see him pull out of somebody else's car with a package, and bitch, I start booking it to my house. I was like, fuck
Bitch,
this shit. I was like, I don't need you to fucking explain to me.
And me
so I
after him,
booked
bitch,
it to my
with
house.
this big ass box. You have to admit that
Yeah, it was
package
big.
was huge.
So he's like running behind me. He's like, babe, Danny,
Danny, I
wait.
can explain.
Yes.
Hasta me caigo, you guys. Me caigo de
Shut
pinche.
Yeah.
I fucking fall with the fucking package like a dumbass. And I literally, I'm like, oh my God, he's thinking the worst. Yo en mi mente, yo decía, like, he's thinking that I'm cheating.
Yeah, you're like, that's not
me
the
over here
case.
trying to prove a point, but the fucking point ends up not getting proven. And it fucking gets escalated.
So then he ends up at my house and he's like knocking on the door trying to talk to me. And I was like, nah, fuck you. Like, don't talk to
I was already
me.
staying over at his house a lot, and I had a lot of stuff. At your house.
So then I was like, nah, fuck you. And my mom and my sister were there. So then I was like, making a whole ass fucking scene. I was like, fuck you. Like, I don't fucking need you. Go with whoever the fuck you want. We were just like bickering back and forth.
It was more you though. I was just kind of there. I remember there's even the video.
We were bickering back and forth.
When I'm just there at your door, like holding my shit.
But we were bickering back and forth because you were trying to like explain yourself. You're like, no, it's not like that. And I wasn't letting you. So then I was like, you know what? Grab your fucking shit. I'm gonna fucking throw this shit out and you can fucking leave me the fuck alone. So I grab all his stuff and his laptop. And then the first
I'm
thing.
over here with my cajita at his door. His mom is literally like watching him as he's literally going off on me. And in his mom's head, I'm sure she's like, oh my God, hijo, you're overreacting. Like I can see the confusion.
Yeah.
And
then I grab all his shit and I'm about to throw it.
No, you throw my
I didn't.
You throw my clothing.
Your clothing, but I also had another pack of clothing with your laptop on top. Because in my head, I had already known. I was like, you know what? If I do throw his laptop, like I'll throw it because I thought that there was gonna be cushion. So like I already knew in my head like how I was gonna throw it.
Like you're like, I'm gonna be dramatic, but I know I'm gonna be safe.
Yes. So, but then my mom stopped me and she's like, don't do that. And then he goes, if you fucking throw my fucking laptop, you're gonna fucking pay for it. And I was like,
or I remember I was like, we're done, or some shit.
Because I remember that. I remember that like vividly because I was like, I'm not about to be fucking paying for his shit. Fuck this cheater.
Like, throw my fucking clothes. Me acuerdo, you guys, that day, I remember in my head the little violins were playing the meow, meow, meow,
meow.
Meow, meow. As I was picking up all my clothing from the floor. And I remember his mom was just looking at me like, pobrecito. Oh my God, why is my kid acting like this? And I remember I was like, you know what? Fuck you. Like, I think in my head, I was like, I knew I wasn't doing anything wrong. I knew why the fuck I had gone. And you weren't going to come at me for doing something that I wasn't doing. You know what I mean? So, me acuerdo cuando miré que iba a tirarme la computadora. You guys keep in mind that at that time, yo había sacado esa computadora fiada. Ni era mía todavía la debía a la Curazao, ni yo la saqué. La sacó mi mamá porque yo en ese tiempo no tenía crédito. And I was just starting my social media career, so to me it's like, wait, si me quebras mi computadora, me quebras mi carrera. So I remember I was like, if you fucking throw it, like, we're done and you fucking buy me a new one. Y como que la pensaste.
Yeah, so then I didn't throw it and I just left it there and then I closed the door shut. And I don't know what ended up happening, but I'm sure he picked up all his stuff. And then my mom was talking to me for a little bit, but I was just like not listening to her. And I was like, oh my God, like, what the fuck did I just do? Like, did I really go insane? Like, it's just, also my past relationship before Alan, I was single for like a whole year and a half. But the reason why I was single for a whole year and a half was because I was like, well, the guy that I was dating before Alan, he had cheated on me, so I was PTSD. Like, so I had like PTSD, so of course I was like going insane, you know. And the guy previously not only did cheat on me with like one guy, but he cheated on me with like 3 other guys. Right. So like I was already like in my head about it, but then I was like, you know what, like fuck, like I really do like this kid, like I don't even know like what I was doing, and like my blood pressure did go down, so like I was like, oh my God, like I'm crying. So then I was like, you know what, fuck it, I'm gonna make a fool out of myself.
I remember leaving you guys and I was walking hella slow because a big part of me was like, what the fuck, like he should be running after me right this motherfucking second. So I was like, meow, 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 meow.
And with all your shit and everything.
Meow, 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 meow. Walking, bitch, slow. And then I hear him fucking screaming, Alan, Alan, as soon as I fucking heard him screaming, even though that's what I fucking wanted, I booked it, bitch. That's when I felt, I felt pride.
You felt pride, yeah.
And I fucking booked it, you guys. I fucking literally was having a hard time even opening my fucking key because like Danny said, it was like a little gated community. So I had to open it with my key. And I was like, oh my God, he's gonna fucking catch up. I opened that shit. I go upstairs, bitch, to my room, lock the door, and I'm like, get the fuck out of here. He was like texting me. He's like, please come outside, come outside.
No, babe.
Yes.
That's not what happened.
Oh, wait, you were literally at the door.
Yes. It's because he was struggling. I ended up like, I was like hugging him and I was like begging. I was like, I'm so sorry. Like, I didn't know what happened. Like, I'm so sorry. I want to be with you. And he's like, nah, fuck you. Leave me the fuck alone. Yeah. You're not going to do that. Throw my fucking shit and fucking make me look like a fool. Like, what the fuck?
You guys,
I didn't do shit.
I felt like a perro.
Yeah.
Like, I swear to God, like, being real, at that moment, I was so mad. Even though that's like low key in the back of my head, I was like, oh my God, yes, come chase me. Yes, you want me? Like, in the back of my mind, I was still kind of hurt. I'm like, oh my God, you're gonna throw me out and like throw my shit out as if I was a fucking animal? Like, fuck you. And I literally remember I was like, as he was hugging me, we were already like, I was already trying to get into the door.
And I was bursting out into tears.
He was like, I'm sorry, please. And I was like, fuck you. No one fucking does that shit to me. You're not gonna make me feel like that. I shut the gate on him. And I booked it to my house. Yeah, es cuando me encerré.
Yeah, that's when I started texting him.
And you stayed out there for like an hour, no?
No, I stayed there till the night. The sun went down. Yes, I did.
No,
I didn't go out afterwards.
Yeah, like, no, you did it. But then
how did you guys make up then?
That night you came out and we talked. Literally right in front of your house, we talked. And then you didn't tell me anything. You ended up just telling me, like, I ended up going by myself to go to the
I did tell you because of this. Yeah. You made that comment. But Danny was also mentioning about the fact that, like, we almost broke up because I didn't tell him I had papers. Another big reason, you guys, I remember when I asked him, I was kind of freaking out because he hadn't known that, pues, que no soy nacido aquí. And I didn't know how to fucking tell him that.
And you didn't even have an ID.
I didn't have my actual ID at the time.
Well, no, you didn't have your ID at all.
That's what I'm saying. No tenía Medina, más tenía. The only way for me to go and get identified like legally was my work permit. Because in school they don't accept that. Yes, like a school. Like, so I only had my thingy. So in the back of my head, I was like, oh my fucking God. Like, what if he gets down with me? He's gonna see that I have a fucking work permit. Like, ¿qué voy a hacer? And then when he made that comment about being the fucking Uber or the taxi, that's when I was like, you know what? Fuck you. I was already stressing over this. And you make this comment, I can go myself. So it fucking ended up pairing together. And I fucking did. I showed him that I can do it myself too.
Like I proved
well,
it
not
wrong.
only that, he keeps secrets.
But
keeping the secret for the DACA, so that when you guys made up, that's when you told him the reason.
No.
That
was a different story.
When I told him, I've actually told this story, and I'm not going to say it again here because I've already told him multiple times. The first time I told him ever that I was undocumented was the first time ever we went to New York, which was literally like 2 years into our relationship. No, maybe like a year.
I think so.
I think like a year.
We were still living with my mom, so probably not even a year.
Not even a year. Because we moved out kind of when we made a year in October, and we started dating in like...
we went during Christmas time, so probably like...
So we had like a couple months, maybe like 8-9 months, less than a year. Y pues le tuve que decir because I was kind of forced. Y ahí con el officer tuve que sacar mi work permit, y pues ahí se dio cuenta, y pues ahí se cayó mi...
And the rest is history.
And then I was like, you know what? If Danny knows, I love him, I'm with him. If Irma's like my best friend, I'm gonna let her. And I feel like during that time, that's when I kind of slowly started accepting the fact that I didn't have papers.
No, and I felt like there was a moment that I did caught on.
When was it?
Honestly, I don't remember when it was, but I did remember that you did say, or it was Gretel that almost like snitched out that you didn't have papers or something. But then that's when you saved yourself until officially, like, you actually were like, hey, Irma, like, I actually don't have papers. I actually have DACA. And of course, my reaction was just like, how come you didn't tell me? Like, I'm not that type of person that's gonna amenazarte or anything, you know? Like, you could trust me with that kind of stuff, but also, like, I get your headspace.
I feel like now, me vale, como les digo, I feel like I've grown so much confidence with who I am. And obviously, there is times where I'm like, fuck, I wish I did have papers. But then llega un momento where you're like, bitch, well, you fucking don't stop wishing. And you kind of just accept it. And I feel like I've been able to accomplish so much with without it that for so long, I almost kind of determined my worth because of that. I always was like, oh, you know what? I ain't shit because I don't got papers. And in this fucking country, you gotta have papers to be someone. I feel like when I started seeing everything I was accomplishing, I was like, bitch, that little paper isn't gonna, make me or break me. And that's when I kind of started telling everyone. Obviously, all my like hometown friends like Priscilla and Neroli, everyone you guys saw in that video knew since I was little, because obviously my sister was her best friends. They would always go to Mexico, y pues yo no, y pues yo les tenía que decir. And, sometimes se burlaban de mí, hacían chistes. So I think it was all PTSD, pero ahora me vale, amigas. Ahora me vale, no tengo papeles, ¿y qué?
How about how my neighbors literally finally moved out? And by what I mean my neighbors, I mean my backyard neighbors. So there is a house, a duplex house that my uncle did end up building himself, and it is his property. And I'm just confirming that because I know you guys had a lot of questions. If you guys didn't see my TikTok, it's on TikTok right there. I did a whole little tour of my backyard and the house. That house, they have been living there for like years, and they even said that once the oldest daughter turns 15, they were gonna move out. But she was like already in her like 21. No, bitch, literally she was like 20 and they were still living there and stuff. So like, I was kind of like waiting, like, okay, when are they gonna move out? When are they gonna move out? Because they also have kids, so I would always be waking up all early and shit. It is my uncle's property, my prima's property, because obviously it's their house. And my prima is actually going to be getting married very, very soon. Since she is planning on getting married with her man, they're going to need a place to stay. And obviously with California prices, with renting or even just owning a home, it's hella expensive. Even though if you have a spouse or whatever, like you need like a huge income just to make sure it's covered. And mind you, they work over here in Orange County and she lives over there in IE. So the drive itself, it's a huge commute. And obviously, so my uncle has the house and it's his house, he was like, you know what? Esta es la casa de atrás. Ni modo. Se van a tener que mover ellos. Like, I'm so grateful that my uncle didn't decide that we had to move out. Like, they ended up deciding them, like the people in the back. My uncle did end up telling them, like, hey, unfortunately, you guys are going to have to move out very soon because I do have my daughter that's going to be getting married soon and they do want to have their own place and they do want to get closer to work. Yeah. So with that being said, they already finally moved out. The backyard, honestly, to tell you guys, like, I have never felt so relieved and being comfortable being in my own home. You guys know that I've never really been comfortable being at home or anything, and this is why, like, usually I'm like at their house and stuff like that. And to confirm, I don't live with them because I know you guys are always saying that I live with them, but I don't. Now, these past few days that I've been home, like, I've been feeling so good.
You're like I've been able here.
No, dude, literally,
like, this is my home.
Literally, nobody's waking me up early as fuck in the morning. I don't hear like kids like screaming and going crazy.
You finally went into your backyard after years.
I literally finally go into my backyard. I could actually go and study and edit in my backyard if I fucking want to. And once I went to the backyard, dude, I was like, oh my god, like we have a fucking lemon tree. I remember that shed was all fucking white. Now it's all rusty because of the fucking sun hitting it and shit. And comes to find out, we have a fucking mandarin tree that they
you
grew.
Didn't know that was there?
I didn't know that.
So you would not even peek, bitch.
I wouldn't peek for shit. That wasn't my side, and I didn't even want to interact with the neighbors at all because honestly, eran bien chismosos in the way of like they're gonna just want to keep talking and talking and talking, knowing you're chisme. I'm like, I'm not down for that shit. Like, just hi, bye, yeah, adios. To go back there, dude, it just brought back so many memories. And to show you guys the house in the back, I forgot
it's
how
nice.
big it is. I forgot how huge it was.
I honestly thought when you would tell us about the house in the back, I thought it was like a little cuartito.
I see, no,
but dude. when I saw the TikTok, because Irma already gave you guys a little house tour.
Yeah. No, dude.
When I saw the house tour, I was like, oh shit, this is a whole ass
whole house. Yeah. Like, it's como si fuera la casa de enfrente. It was a duplex. It basically was a duplex because before my uncle built that site, there was a jacuzzi there. And there was like more room and everything. Like, it was a nice home, bitch.
She's like resort.
Yeah, literally, dude. But he was like, you know what? Voy a ayudar la familia. I'm going to build the house. But to tell you guys, the house looks so bomb. My prima, she's deciding on coloring the living room like a cream color. And then the room's like a gray. So she's not going to do anything crazy.
But she's excited.
She's so excited. Yeah. I'm excited to even have my prima there now.
As your neighbor.
As my neighbor, because I know it's just going to be more tranquilo. And I know I'm just going to be able to build more of a bond with her because I feel like I did lose that connection with my prima because me and my prima, I feel like we were like pretty close. Whenever it was the holidays, I would go over there at her house or she would come over to my house. Yeah. We'd get ready together. We'd do our hair and everything. And now that she's going to be next to me, like I feel like I'm ready to build that bond again and being able to be close to my family again because I feel like I did distance myself a lot from them. So overall, this is a great journey. I'm so excited for her. And yeah, this is just I'm excited.
Irma for her new neighbors.
Her new friends.
Yeah.
But how about how your podcast is doing so good?
Thank you. How about how your guys' has been doing so good too?
Thank
Can we actually, before we talk about my podcast, I want to give you guys your flowers because can we talk about production? Can we talk about display? Can we talk about dedication, you guys? If you guys have been a fan of Let's Talk Pendejadas since the beginning when that shit was being filmed in my resting collection room, like it has been a big step up. You guys have been putting in the work. I see the old little sign you guys used to just have.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
See how you guys have literally like transformed this. Every single time, you guys, I have a guest come over for Noche de Pendejadas. Tienes que pasar por aquí to go to the restroom. They always compliment it. They're like, oh my God, this is so pretty. If they don't know of the podcast, they'll always be like, oh my God, this is so cool. What goes on here? But most of them do. And they'll be like, oh my God, this is where they filmed. This looks so pretty, looks so cool. And I am really proud of them. But
thank you.
Yeah, I feel like my podcast también, igual como el de ustedes, ha estado creciendo mucho. I feel like whenever I think about my podcast, I remember, cómo empezamos. Me acuerdo cuando empecé con esa idea bien chiquita. I started in a little corner in my sala. I was only filming on an iPhone. And then to see it slowly, gradually improve over the days, months, and years has really been something que en verdad que sí se los debo a todos ustedes, a todos mis invitados, porque sin ustedes y sin sus historias que me dejan proyectar to you guys, the podcast wouldn't be where I am today. And it makes me excited to see where it's gonna go.
Well, if you really think about it, your podcast wasn't actually a podcast first. It was actually on IGTV. If you guys remember, IGTV used to be something really big on Instagram, but then it went away. And then you were like trying to figure out where to upload it. Where did you end up uploading on YouTube?
I remember the first season was just iPhone, right? It was like 12 episodes or maybe 8.
It was vertical.
No me acuerdo exactamente cuántos eran. When I first started, like you guys said, it was on IGTV. I didn't think about it being a podcast at the beginning. I wanted it to be like a TV show. Because yo siempre me miraba, amigas, viendo Don Francisco. Ustedes saben que yo soy un pinche chismoso y como pueden ver ahorita, parece que me gusta. A mí me gusta saber más. I like to know, cuéntame
more
más,
about people.
And I grew up on telenovelas. I grew up on Gordo y la Flaca. I grew up on TV shows. Y me acuerdo cuando empecé, I remember not seeing many Hispanic influencers in the US given any type of exposure on TV. I remember I would see those mainstream white influencers on like Ellen. I think the only like Latino at the time that I knew that I would see get recognition like that was Karina when she went on Ellen or when she was doing all her slime stuff and it was going crazy. So when I first started, I was like, you know what? I always have loved like interviews. Siempre me gustaba ver like interviews on YouTube of like certain reporteros telling people stories. And I was like, I should do that for people in my community. At the time, it was like the Latino influencer community. And when I first started, after that, I feel like I outgrew just the drama. Like, obviously, I live for it. I love, drama. I feel like we all do as a community. We fucking consume that shit a lot, which we fucking probably shouldn't. But I feel like I slowly started evolutionizing my podcast into something bigger than just drama. Obviamente, muchas veces sí miran drama, but I also want to back something up other than just drama because I know there's certain influencers that you guys see them going through public scandals, but there's more to these influencers than just those scandals. Yeah, so that's when I kind of started transitioning it more into like a 2-hour show where I sit down and really get to know the person in and out y luego para que la gente en verdad los conozca bien como son como persona. And I love it and I feel like I enjoy what I do and I feel like you guys see that and I feel like that's why le pongo todo el esfuerzo y el amor al proyecto porque en verdad que sí me gusta sentarme and really like platicar with whoever is sitting in my chair.
And it reciprocates because you get a lot of views and stuff like that. But what actually goes on behind the scenes of like trying to book people? I even get nervous trying to hit up people to like interview and stuff like that. That's why we don't have a lot of guests. But for you, your show consists of guests every single week. So do you ever get like nervous? Do you ever get anxiety that they're gonna say no or that they don't want to talk about specific things?
I do get nervous even now, you guys, even with the growth the podcast has had, even though it's way different than what it was when it first started. Me acuerdo when it first started, there was people that kind of rejected like my invitation. And I feel like because of all that in the beginning of, the project, I kind of got scared, asking people.
Yeah.
So I feel like now, obviamente, there is times where even though I'm scared, I still go ahead and ask a person. But I feel like now my process is a little different. Let's say someone starts popping up on my For You page a lot. Like, I really do like to interview people I also like want to get to know more. So I feel like my process now is very much, if I start seeing you on my For You page, if a lot of your like audiences starts requesting, I start following these people and I start kind of just like keeping up with them to get
like
their
doing
vibe.
research.
Yes, not really research, because I will say something, you guys. I like to do the least amount of research when I am interviewing someone, only because I do like the reaction in the convo to be very like
Genuine.
Like, obviamente, see, I get on a call with them and just kind of go over things we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
But I don't go ahead and like research every little single thing, because then cuando me lo estén contando ellos, voy a estar actuando.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm
Literally.
going to be like,
No,
and it's like, it's not genuine anymore. So I feel like I like to get a feel of the influencer. And then that's when I ask, because it gets to a point where I'm like, oh my God, I love your content. I want to know fucking more.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to lie, lately my scheduling has been a little off. I used to be so good where I would book, let's say all of next month's guests, I already would have them booked and scheduled like a month prior. I would sometimes film too, but I feel like life has been a little weird lately. And sometimes I'd be scheduling the week of, maybe like on weekend, and be like, hey, can you come on
or the
a
day
Wednesday,
before
on a Thursday?
editing.
I'm trying to get back
Yes.
onto like having a schedule, but it is a process. And I
Yeah.
still get scared to ask people because I feel like they'll say no. A lot of the time when I meet people in person, and if they're excited, if they come up to me and I'm like, oh my God, me too, like I've been thinking about you, pero no sé cómo preguntarte. It kind of just happens
It
so
really
genuine.
does. It
But
really
there is a
does.
lot of episodes where like maybe sometimes I'm like, oh my God, I want to reach out to them. I'm scared. I'll send the fucking message. I
Yeah.
won't look at my phone. Even if they reply, I'll look at it like maybe 2 hours later because I'm so scared of rejection. And then I look at it and a lot of the time they say yes. So then I'm like, okay, que planearlo.
No,
but
and
it is a process.
It is a process, but overall, I feel like your podcast has just been such a success, and such like, for me being the behind the scenes, if you guys don't know, I help along with the production and kind of like setting up the cameras and everything. But seeing you as a host, you've always made every guest feel so comfortable. You're so easygoing. You're so easy to talk to. And it really just shows through camera that it makes people really do want to get you more and actually be on the show. Because no matter when we're done with filming for the day, I know that when the guest leaves, they're like, wow, like, I felt like I was such in a safe place that I know that they're probably going to be like, another person wants to be on it. Like, yes, go on it. Like, he's so great. He's so good at it.
I hear that a lot, which
stuff.
I appreciate a lot. I like when people tell me that they feel so comfortable even having like a conversation with you. Me hace sentir muy bonito. Talking about guests, one thing that I fucking hate is when people complain about my guest. Déjales cuento un poquito, amigas. Obviamente ustedes saben that I have a variety of guests. I have people with millions of followers. I have people with like 100K, 200K. I've even had people with as little as like 10K followers on Instagram. Pero una de las cosas que me cae bien like nefasto and I get so annoyed of, and I'm like, shut the fuck up, is whenever I announce a guest that maybe isn't crazy known, but that they still have an audience, and people in the comments are like, who is this? Bitch, click the fucking tag and fucking find out.
Yeah.
They're tagged. That's who they are. Y me enoja mucho because I genuinely, you guys, my goal with this podcast is I also want to bring one of you guys in the future, someone that really isn't on social media, but that might have a story that a lot of people can connect and feel like they can relate to. But then I kind of sometimes feel bad because I'm like, bitch, if they're already commenting, who is this, with someone that has 400, 300, even 10K followers, ¿qué van a decir de una persona que no tiene ni más?
Yeah.
And it is really annoying because I'm like, shut the fuck up, listen to their story, y a lo mejor le sacas algo de ahí, o a lo mejor terminas enamorándote de esa persona because you feel like you can relate a lot.
No, yeah.
So that is a goal. Obviamente eso no me va a parar. That isn't going to stop me, but it is something that I do sometimes not get mad. I'm not going to stay and be like, oh my God, whenever I see a comment, I get triggered, porque no, I just kind of like go on with my day. But to me, it's more of like, I love listening to people that have stories that are so relatable and stories that can really
Impact people.
You know what I mean? I love the chisme. I love the drama. Don't get me wrong. Even with chisme, even with drama, y'all can learn something out of it because, you know, pueden aprender un poquito de todo. But I do love when people have stories, and I'm working on it, you guys. You guys know for a long time the reason why I wouldn't bring a guest on the show was because it used to be filmed in my house and I just felt a little bit uncomfortable. Imagine giving your address to someone you really don't know, and what if they're a hater and expose it? So I feel like there was a while where I was like, okay, maybe I shouldn't bring them because like it's at my house and I just, you know, we've had situations where like followers will show up. You remember at our apartment, they would show up uncalled for and like it would make us feel uneasy because like that was like our safe space. So I feel like now with the studio, now that we actually have like a location where we film, I feel like that topic has been getting brought about, and I'm just trying to figure out a way. Is there like a way where you guys can maybe tell me how would you guys submit, maybe through email, maybe like a Google Docs,
maybe like
where
that,
I can ask you certain questions and you can answer them, and then I can be like, okay, I love their story, let's get it going. Es algo que quiero hacer, amigas, pero tenemos que ser pacientes, pero muy pronto.
We see how great and amazing the podcast has been going. And of course, there's its ups and downs. How has been the business side going on that? Because you know how you would do the performances and then you stopped and then you had your little break. How's that going?
I feel like the business side of the podcast has definitely changed a lot throughout the years, because I feel like at the beginning, there wasn't really any business to it because, you know, I would film it at home. You know, it was filmed on my iPhone, which I already had. I would almost see it like, oh, another piece of content at the beginning. You know what I mean? It wouldn't cost me anything to like bring a guest. It wouldn't cost me anything to like host at my house porque ya se estaba pagando la renta regardless. But I feel like as the podcast started growing, I really did have to start seeing it as a business. I like to think that Noche de Pendejadas, gracias a ustedes y gracias a todos los que le han enseñado mucho amor, has become like a business on its own. Yo me gusta verlo como está Noche de Pendejadas y luego está Alannized, his vlogs and just his content and like the trio and just over the years and just I think not even over the years, over the months, I feel like I've had to quickly kind of adapt to like the business side of it. For example, when we first moved into here, you know, obviamente aquí se paga dinero, amigas. Aquí se paga a couple $1,000s just for us to even be breathing air in this fucking place that we're at right now. For a long time, I filmed at home and it wouldn't really cost me much other than privacy because it was being filmed in my sala. When I first started growing and, you know, the podcast started picking up, I decided que pues ya estaba en su momento to where I felt like I needed to elevate the project to kind of like take it to the next level, because es una cosa, amigas, I always saw the bigger picture. Even though it started like en mi casita, en la esquinita, I always saw the big picture.
Like the pizzazz.
And I'm still seeing it. Ahorita, this is still a big picture for me, but yo quiero y no voy a parar hasta un día estar en tele. Whether that's hosting my own show or just hosting on red carpets, lo que sea, lo voy a hacer, mark my words. So when I started like thinking about like elevating the podcast, obviamente Danny helped me a lot getting the space. I remember a year before we actually moved in here, we had actually, you know, started looking for a space because I was like, oh my God, I think it's in the right moment. It's growing. Let's do it. You guys know our friend Steph. Her mom owns rental properties for businesses. Y me acuerdo that we went to go tour. We did the proceso. You know, su mamá nos estaba ayudando porque como les contamos, she's like the management. Y llegamos hasta, I think...
Where you were about to sign the papers.
And I pussied out. I pussied out because I didn't believe at the time in the project as much as I believed this year. Y les digo por qué, amigas. I started thinking about the expenses. Like I said before, there wasn't really any expenses. When I started thinking about the rent, I think it was like $2,000, you know, 2,000 something. And I was like, oh my God, that's another rent. Keep in mind, uno tiene sus biles personales, tenemos la casa, tenemos los carros, tenemos que bills. Like you have your fucking bills. So I pussied out. I was like, I can't do this shit. Like, no puedo, no lo voy a hacer. I don't want to. And I also do remember the contract was for like 5 years.
Yeah, it was for
5 years. During that time, I was like, what if in 1 year a la gente le vale verga Noche de Pendejadas y tengo esta pinche renta, tengo todo este lugar y tengo que seguir pagando, pero there's nothing paying
being
it.
produced.
You know what I mean? There's nothing being produced to pay for it. And I remember at the time I would always even be like, you know what? If Noche de Pendejadas doesn't work out, I can start a little small business and run it from here.
Yeah.
There was always like an idea of like, if it didn't work out,
Like
let's
a
do it.
backup.
But I decided not to do it because I was like, fuck it. I can't take on this responsibility. I'm not ready to take it on. When I started seeing how much growth the podcast started having, I remember I started getting a little like depressed and a little overwhelmed with hosting at my house because the podcast was taking over my home. Because I would come downstairs, boom, the podcast would be there. I didn't have a sala for years. You guys saw last year, I did my whole Christmas setup on top of my Noche de Pendejada setup. So I started kind of like, oh, you know what? It's growing so much. I want to elevate it. I'm not happy with like it being here. I felt like, you know what? Like it's time. Yara tiempo. And maybe God does things for a reason, you know.
Yeah.
Maybe God at the time when I was scared, he was like, me estaba poniendo eso en la cabeza because at the time maybe it wasn't gonna work out. Maybe I wasn't ready at the time. That's what it fucking was. And I remember I was talking to Danny and I was like, babe, can you help me? And I remember Danny started fucking helping me out. We toured some places y pues terminamos aquí. And going back to the business side of it, I feel like now I kind of have it under control, but I think at the beginning I would kind of just be like, yes, I want this, boom, yes, I want that, boom, yes. Fucking dropped down over $20,000 the first month we got this place to furnish it, to construct a new set. You guys saw I went the fuck all out. Like, se gastó un chingo de dinero. And at that moment, I really wasn't seeing like, oh, it's gonna produce you money. At the beginning, I would only really kind of film with people that I knew lived in the area because, you know, I couldn't afford to fly anyone out. I couldn't afford to fucking have a hotel for X amount of days. And as any business, you know, if you're spending money, you obviously have to make sure that you're also making money to pay for everything that you're spending. And at the beginning, I was just like, yeah, I don't care. I want this like this. I want this like that. Get me this, get me that. I want to go all out. Let's refurnish this place. Let's turn it up and down. Take the carpet out. Let's put floor. You know, I want my set to look like this. It was crazy. You know, I think I spent a lot of money. And then when I first started this new season, I started, you know, having a lot of guests from out of town and I started paying for their flights. I started paying for their hotels. And then apart from that, the production of one episode also costs me money. For example, Irma is my assistant. I think a lot of you guys think that Irma works for free y pues nadie en esta vida, amigas, trabaja de gratis. Yo sé que ella si pudiera me ayudara por gratis, but I also wanted to make sure from the beginning that she was paid, you know, for her time and for her effort. So yo desde el principio, even before she was helping me 100% on the podcast, yo le pagaba. You know, and now when we film, se le paga a good, for each episode that she helps me, you know, film and, you know, set up and everything, se le paga a good a couple $100, you know, because the hours add up. And then apart from that, when I was doing the performances, se le pagaba al videographer, se les pagaba, you know, al audio technician. Nothing crazy, but it starts adding up. Yeah. And then apart from that, you have to put in the rent.
And then
you know,
divide
it. The light bill.
Yeah.
There's just so much that
There
goes
is.
into it, you guys, that I feel like a lot of you guys don't see. So then I got to a point where I was like, I need to sit my ass down and see how much this shit is generating me versus how much I'm spending. And at the time, I was also focusing myself a lot on this project. So I also wanted to make sure que iba a salir para mis biles at the end of the day, you know. So it was a little adjusting to do. You know, a lot of you guys asked me why there's no longer any performances. They are coming back. But a big reason was because I started doing the performances to really, you know, help out up and coming, you know, people that wanted to be singers or just up and coming talent, to really put them out there. I first thought, I was like, you know what, that's going to elevate the show. It's going to make it look like fucking talk show
like
with the performance.
Yes.
And it's also good. You know, the podcast was already getting a lot of views. I also was like, you know what, this is the perfect idea to really put those like people that are trying to make something out of like their talent. But ahí es donde la cagamos un poquito porque como les estaba contando, you guys, y les he contado, I didn't really think about the copyright issue. So I was spending all this money, all this time, aside from the actual legit money that I was spending, also all my time, because we would film, the podcast. It would take usually all day because I would have to be here early for glam. Then filming is about like fucking
4 hours.
4 or 5 hours. And then after that, I edit for like 10, 12 hours. Like all my time, es mucho tiempo. Then your time. Llegó un punto where certain songs were copywriting my videos and I would make nothing. I would literally be like sacando dinero después de mis ahorros. Yeah. Well, not really de mis ahorros, but like,
but what I mean? You would make from your
no era de las ganancias.
Like you didn't make profit anymore.
So we stopped it because
it also wasn't fair because if you guys don't know, like YouTube vibes, when you get like copyrighted, the artist ends up getting either 50%, 80%, like depending on the full amount. So imagine that, like a 2-hour video where there's only a 3-minute part, all of that goes towards the artist and nothing
all the
towards
hard work that you put in, which is like
for free,
like that just did not.
And I'm not gonna lie, you guys, before I actually made the decision to stop doing like the performances, había un momento donde I was taking the L's. You remember because llegó un momento where I would have like a day to be like, oh my God, my video's copyrighted. Should I take out the performance? But I'm like, no, bitch. Like I love the vision. I love how it looks. Fuck it, I'll take the L, I'll get the copyrighted, I'll make $0. I'm not gonna lie, sometimes even if it was copyrighted, I would make at least like a little bit, but it wouldn't even cover what I would pay Irma for being my assistant. No. So then I was like, okay, I'm taking too many L's, que ya estuvo bueno. I remember I stopped doing them, and funny, I think because a lot of these labels started getting those notifications that artists were coming on the show to like do covers, or just artists were performing certain songs, I think they got the notifications. And various labels have reached out. Shout out to them. A lot of labels have reached out to like try to work something together. So en eso estamos, amigas. I am in the process of working something out with various labels, really big labels, a lot of labels that you guys know and hear, and a lot of your favorite artists are signed to. We're in the process of like talking things out to see if there's a way where we can help out their artists and they can help us out where they lift the full copyright claim, because ha habido momentos, amigas, I'm not saying every episode was copyrighted. Whenever I would bring someone that
was huge or had like a whole disquera and the disquera was good, like we would talk to like the guests and they would reach out to like their label and they would lift the claim. Sometimes they would lift it fully, like MC Magic, shout out to him, since he owns his record label, he was able to like lift it fully with me still being able to monetize. But there's other disqueras that would just lift the claim, but they would still get money and they would take like most of the money. I did the cuentas y pues ni me salía ni pa mi chicle, amigas. So that is why they kind of went away. I feel like a lot of you guys are always asking me about the performance aspect and just like the whole business aspect. But, it's trial and error. It's like any other business. Just it's a different type of business. I'm producing a whole ass mini show and it's my first time ever. I don't have, a whole team. I do have management, you guys, but I'm going to be very real with you guys. They're not super involved. A lot of it is just me.
Yeah.
And Irma is also part of my team. Danny también a veces when I'm doing the TikToks and it's getting fucking late and I'm getting tired, he'll help me do the little TikToks. So it's trial and error, but it's something that I enjoy. And I am so happy to see something so small growing to what it is now. I can't wait to see where the podcast goes. Si un momento, llega un momento donde me pueden quitar that,
where you're just like the star.
Yes. Me gustaría llegar un momento.
Go in, everything's ready. All right, action.
Where I would be like, you know what, I want to have this person, take care of them, like make sure they're good and make sure it's still like within budget. I would love that. I would love for me to have like a whole production.
Yeah.
But it's still
it's gonna get there.
It's gonna be, as you mentioned it in your podcast, like a question in 5 years, bitch. Yeah. That is what's gonna happen. It's the fucking for the podcast, because I genuinely do see it. Everybody talks about it, and I mean, I see it. I generally every single I see, I don't even see it as a podcast. I see it as a talk show. I genuinely see it as a talk show, and I see the hard work that you put into it. And I just want to say that I'm so proud of you, friend.
Yeah, baby, I'm so proud of you. This is so iconic. It's iconic. It's amazing to see how it grew from a baby all the way to like an old person.
It's all retired. That shit.
It's been definitely like a journey and a roller coaster. There's always trial and error into everything, but the podcast is going to continue succeeding, and it's going to be bigger than what it is,
And then also just one last thing about the podcast, another question or just another comment that I get a lot. Siempre me andan comentando, Alan, why do you bring the same fucking people? Why do you bring the same fucking people? Bring new people. Amigas, actúan como que si cada semana les traigo a la misma persona. If I repeat a guest, it's because I felt like enough time has passed by to where they've gone through so much shit that they're able to open up in a new way. Also, I like to bring back guests that I brought in the beginning of the podcast to when the podcast wasn't what it is now, because it's different.
It's
you know what I
different
mean?
story
Like,
now.
I like bringing back, and also las vidas de toda la gente que ustedes miran online cambian muchísimo. There's always a lot of things going on. So I do like to bring back, you know, people that I've had before to kind of catch up and see how they're doing now compared to how they were when I first interviewed them. But nonetheless, you guys are going to always be having a mixture of new guests, of, you know, people that you guys have never seen, because like I said, I'm going to start bringing more of you guys. So va a haber un poquito de todo.
Yes.
So por favor, ahí déjenme and just enjoy the fucking show, because it takes a lot of time, a lot of effort, y mucho goes into creating this video. I feel like a lot of people think about it and think just a mini YouTube video.
Yeah.
And it's not. You know, it's not. It's more than just that. And I am very, very like particular, and I'm very anal with like treating it as something bigger.
Then what
because if I start treating it as something bigger and I put my whole heart and soul into it,
then
you guys will too.
Exactly.
And I feel like that's the reason why you guys see it as a show, because I always tell Danny and Irma, I'm like, bitch, not me fucking making it look like a show. And if we're being realistic,
it looks like a show.
It looks like a show, but it's not really a show. There's not really production. There's not really like a whole crew.
But
it's
you
not like a
give it
legit.
that.
Exactly. But because I believe so hard in it,
And
that la gente lo cree.
reciprocate.
And you have to. With anything you do, you guys, whether that's your small business, whether that's you fucking being the number one employee at your 9 to 5, you gotta believe you're the best, and you gotta believe there's a bigger picture para que la gente te lo crea. A mí me vale verga si la gente dice, ay, pobrecito con su little mini YouTube show. ¿Y qué? ¿Tú qué tienes, mi amor? Nada. Ya quisieras tener ese little
wish
mini
you'd
YouTube
be
show.
able to do that shit, honestly.
Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this week's episode. Thank you so much, baby, for coming on the show. It was so iconic having you. We wish we can have you more regularly, but I think we got to know a little bit more about you, because I feel like lately you haven't really been posting a lot of your vlog stuff, because of course you're going through it and stuff like that. But just having to have you here and hear about your podcast and hear about everything that you've accomplished, like, it's just iconic, and what we've really been through. Like, it's just thank you so much for coming on the show.
I also do want to say, you know, Danny saying the, you know, that I've been going through it. I do want to say, I feel like the podcast has also lately has given me purpose. Just, you know, just to finish it off. If you guys follow me, you guys know how inconsistent I've been with my content lately. Me lo dicen siempre cuando vas a postear otro vlog. I just felt like ever since my grandpa passing away, I feel like my life has been like all over the place. And it's almost felt like a domino effect where so much shit has gone on after that. You know, so much, you know, mucho estrés, muchos problemas han pasado, you know, that I just feel like I haven't been able to catch a break. And I've been like disassociating myself a lot from reality and just from life, that I feel like the podcast has really given me a purpose, because eso sí, no les doy a YouTube video vlog, pero sí, I've been so hard on myself with like at least not giving up consistency with the podcast. Así de mucho I believe in it, you guys. So I do feel like even though I've been going through depression, I've been going through it lately, I've been having a rough 2-3 months, siento como que el podcast has really kept me sane, has really kept me occupied, because I really could be just couch potatoing myself every single day at every single moment, even though that shouldn't be the case. Pero siento como que el podcast me da una razón a veces cuando grabo, that I'm like, okay, you know what? You have to get up, put your best face on. You got to do something that you love para olvidarte de todo lo que te está pasando. You know what I mean? And maybe one day I'll talk about a little bit more in detail with everything that's going on. But for everyone that has noticed about my mental state, I love you guys. I've been going through it. So much shit has been going on. And I'll be fine. I'll be fine. Y muchas gracias a ustedes también, amigas, because when I do upload something, ahí están presente, and eso en verdad que valoro mucho, porque en verdad me hace sentir como que les importo, me hace sentir como que en verdad, you know, you guys care for me, if that makes any sense.
No, for sure. And friend, you got this. Keep your head up. You know that we are here to always support you and to just be there for you whenever you need us. So you got this, friend. you'll push through. But overall, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this week's episode. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and leave a comment down below on what you guys thought of the episode, rating our costumes, and I don't know, what drinks that we should do for next week. So don't forget to follow me on all of my social medias at RMyTitsXO.
At Call Me Danny.
And Alannized.
And also, don't forget to follow the Let's Talk Pendejadas page on TikTok and on Instagram.
And don't forget to check out Noche de Pendejadas.
We'll leave it down below. And we will not forget to leave you guys with a positive affirmation.
This positive affirmation is literally from Shrek, and it says, after a while, you learn to ignore the names people call you, and you just trust who you are.
That's all what I was saying earlier with the hot papeles situation.
Literally.
Fit perfectly. But overall, guys, we'll see you next week.
Bye.